Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, yeah, that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. Watch me elevate. I was born to win, now watch me elevate. I was born to win, now watch me elevate. All in when I show up, whole place about to blow up. Superior to that competition. I'm in first place, yeah, that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. Watch me elevate. I was born to win, now watch me elevate.
Sweatier than a bottle of Fruitopia that doesn't exist anymore. It's your favorite show on the internet. It's The Brand Show. Welcome in, everybody, to episode 4. My name is Billy Nichols. Call me The Brand. Call me Quicksilver. Call me the Larry Bird of action figure collecting. Just don't call me late to lunch.
I don't know if I can follow an intro like that with Larry Bird, but hi, everyone. My name is Chris, a.k.a. Papa Smallz, the best dad on the internet because I love you to death unconditionally, and I left for milk and cigarettes, and I came back with popsicles. How you doing?
And the Magic Johnson of vinyl record collecting, my friends. Let's just call it what
Excuse
it
the
really
fuck
is.
out of me.
Let's just call it what it is. Welcome to the show. We're back. It's episode 4, and for some reason I'm on the right, so let's fix that. Put Smallz over here, put me over there. It's where I belong.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it's a new thing. It's called Zoom, being Zoom. Anyway, guys,
Also,
welcome back to
hey,
the show.
Have a sub.
Thanks so much, buddy. Thanks for being here, everyone. Welcome back to the Brand Show. Tonight is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
So much going on, and we have... Holy shit.
There's a lot to go over
We
in
have
8 minutes.
so much to talk about. We have a tremendous guest. But before we start this show, I need to be serious for a minute. It's been a rough week here at the Brand Show and a bunch of nerds. A lot going on. I'm not going to get into personal details, but first things first, I want to say hello to my wife, Rebecca, who I know is watching. I love you very much, and you are one of the strongest women I have ever met in my life for what we've gone through in the last 2 weeks. I love you. Thank you for being you. That's all there is to it. I also want to dedicate tonight's episode to a good friend of mine who we lost to cancer on August 14th, Liz DeBow. Liz, I know your family's probably watching somewhere. Millie, Eric, I love you guys. The DeBow family, I'm sorry. The Goblet family, I'm sorry. Cancer is an asshole. And tonight, any donations made, 20% of those donations will be given to the Liz Goblet DeBow College Education Fund for Young Artists. Liz is a great friend of mine. Liz challenged my opinion on creating and taught me so much about creating and helping to create an inclusive and diverse community within creating. I will be forever grateful to Liz for her opinion, for her friendship, and her guidance. Liz, I know you're watching from the best seats in the house. I love you. Let's get right into it, though. It's been a week. First of all, Saints Row dropped today.
Woo!
Let's talk about it soon. Saints Row's out. But it's been a big week in purchases.
Yeah.
I know. Well, let me just hit the money button. Yeah, I want to give a special shout out also to Farva, who helped make this purchase possible. We have a silent investor here at A Bunch of Nerds. His name is Sean Leger. Sean does a lot for this brand, has done a lot for this brand over many, many years. And I'm really grateful to Sean. So we're gonna talk about that here in a minute. If you're in the chat, let us know you're here. Say hello. I see you guys hanging out in chat. There's not many of you yet, but that's because it's episode 4 and we're only supposed to have like 4 viewers.
Yeah, that's how it works, right?
We lose viewers every show because we're the shittiest podcast on the internet.
Nah, bro, it's a viewer per episode. So by the time we get to like episode 20, we might have a full room.
All right, let's talk about this. Smallz, I know you got some records, but before we go any further,
God damn it, this argument again.
Go to your fridge, crack yourself a Liquid Death, and hopefully it's not lime, because fuck lime.
Hashtag not a sponsor, but would not say no to one, because I love Liquid Death. I think I am a whore for their merch.
And don't they sponsor your photography anyway?
They did at one point. I'm still in good connections with them for festivals and stuff around here. But I think they have one of the most genius marketing campaigns in history. It is fucking fantastic. But fuck Bury It Alive. It's good, but if you say it's better than lime, I will fucking meet you in these streets.
It's better than lime.
I will. Fuck. God damn it, I hate you. Bury It Alive is good, but it tastes like someone.
I can't hear you because Michael Buffer's introducing us.
I hate you sometimes. This would be a lot better if I could actually hear your sound bites over my headset.
Guys, if you can tell us how to get our sound bites so you can hear it over a Zoom meeting, slide in my DMs at The Brand Show with a 0 instead of an O on Twitter. Anyway, Small, say what you're saying.
So Bury It Alive is good. Don't get me wrong. I love all the flavors they have. But of the 3, Severed Lime, Bury It Alive, and Mango Chainsaw, Bury It Alive tastes like someone ate a bucket of strawberries and 3 blueberries and then burped into a bottle of water and then threw it into a soda stream.
I tried.
I will not be leaving any room for questions, sir.
It's funny because the other day I had a lime one and I swear to God I got fucked by a lime tree.
That's the point.
I don't want to get fucked by a lime tree. It's not pleasant.
At least it smells better than normal fucking.
It's literally like that time I had sex in the library in Franklin in the 11th grade. Probably shouldn't bring that up.
It smelled like newspaper print. Yeah, no one wants that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I equate getting fucked by a lime tree to. Someone that's literally picking the limes and then from there is going on to fucking, make a tree.
There's a
All right, enough of this argument. Get into your fucking purchases for the week, you fucking whore.
All right, so I only have 2, but one of them I got on a lurch. One of them I've been looking for quite some time. So first one, for anyone that grew up or is familiar with 70s funk and 70s funk music and soul and movie soundtracks back then, one of my favorite guitar players, wildly underrated and underappreciated nowadays, the definition of wah-wah, Curtis Mayfield's soundtrack for Superfly.
Go.
From 76, 72.
Fucking go. Plain and simple.
That was one of my first introductions to funk music. I got that on a CD from the public library in my hometown and burned it, and I played the shit out of it.
Did you wear that CD out? You played it so much because that soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one is, I don't know if you know too much about like just straight up DJs, not like producers like Tiesto and Alesso and shit like that, but like DJs. DJ Shadow from the mid 90s, early 2000s. So he is recognized for being a fucking tank in terms of producing, but for his debut album in 1966, Introducing.
Wait, 1966 or 1996?
1996, excuse me.
Okay, I was going to say.
This typically goes for like $90. Merch Bar got it for $28.
Good lord.
And the reason I love that record as a music nerd and a music just fiend for all sorts of, the nuances of shit. That entire album is made from nothing but vinyl samples from other records to make ridiculous soundscapes like Midnight in a Perfect World, Organ Donor, everything. Every sound from that record is sampled from a physical vinyl record.
Wow. That's some shit.
Like DJ Shadow, like everyone knows who Deadmau5 is, but Deadmau5 he doesn't like being called a DJ, he likes being called a producer.
Yeah, he also likes to
DJ.
shit on stage. He likes to shit on stage during his sets, from what I understand too.
Well, I mean, he has the ability to. He has the cube. I've seen him do it live.
That's gross, people. If you have to poop, get off stage.
My guy, he basically does his sets inside of a RGB cubicle with like 20 gig internet. It's nuts.
If he's got an RGB cubicle, why can't he have an RGB toilet to take?
He does. He sits on it. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Solid purchases, 10 out of 10. Gotta say, Curtis Mayfield was a welcome surprise. Super stoked about that. I know that you've got eclectic taste in music. That is a fucking huge purchase. Super rad. Well done, sir. Before I go, I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. What's up, Nerd Affiliated? Hello to our mod. Zero's in the chat. 0 Hour Hero, thanks for being here, brother. Bass Goddess, I see you. Hello. Thanks for being here. So let's get into my purchases of the week, and I'm going to go with something really fun to start off for the wrestling fans out there. Shout out to my boy Tony's R Us, because he has an amazing eBay store, the Wrestling Superstore out of Texas. I didn't want to buy the whole new wave of Major Bendies. Not really a fan of Nick Gage, so didn't care. But I'm going to meet Danhausen on the 17th of September, and I picked up this super awesome Danhausen Bendy. Really excited about this. What?
Danhausen.
Yes, Danhausen. So Danhausen, for those of you who are not wrestling fans, Danhausen is a character who is very nice, very evil, and is looking for all the monies or you will be cursed. Danhausen is probably one of the only gimmicks in the history of wrestling that has transcended the business, which is a huge deal. So for those of you who like wrestling, you know why Danhausen is so important to the business. Kind of takes up that old school vaudevillain gimmick. Very nice guy. I'm looking forward to meeting him in person, and I am trying to bribe him to be on the show. I would really love to sit down and talk to Danhausen about collecting and music and so forth, because he has a lot of the same taste that we do, which is pretty fucking cool if you ask me. That was my first purchase. The next, our guest for episode 5 is Bobby Valla, creator of the Valaverse, and I picked up some of the Action Force figures. I'm just going to show you guys Crimson Cavalry. We're going to live unbox this on episode 5. It's going to be a lot of fun. I might give it away. I might actually buy another one and give it away. I don't know yet. But the fact of the matter is I'm really impressed with the Valaverse and what Bobby Valla is doing. Now, for those who don't know who he is, he's a former designer for Jazzwares and Hasbro who broke off to make his own line and disrupt the toy industry. It's a really cool story. We're going to talk a lot about it, and I'm going to tell you why Valaverse figures are better. I did an unboxing of Sergeant Slaughter for our TikTok channel. Head over to @abunchofnerds. Check out our TikTok channel. If you don't follow it already, follow now. Do us that favor, please. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers on TikTok, which means we can go live. We can start monetizing everything, and your support means the world to us. It's not about the money. It's about your support. Up next, I did win a raffle on Whatnot the other night with my good friends of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. And my screen name, Discount Doink, was a subject of a great discussion. I won this fun I don't even know if this is 6-inch. I think this is 3-inch Halo 5 Master Chief, and this really cool drawstring bag, thanks to Smart Mark Sterling from the pod. So I got a Jazzwares bag. So nice. If you are a fan of Halo, guys, heck, maybe we'll do a giveaway because I don't collect the Halo figures. That's not to say I really don't like Jazzwares, because honestly, Jazzwares makes awesome stuff. I won't hate on Jazzwares ever. They are very nice to me every time I talk to them. They've been very good to me in the past. I just don't collect the line. So for me, it's something where I'm going to be probably giving away. Now, this is a fun one, and I totally forgot I bought it now. I bought something else really big, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I forgot that I got these cool, and you might remember this show, Double Dragon the Animated Series.
Oh, yeah.
I got some Double Dragon the Animated Series figures.
Oh, good shit.
Yeah, one of them's missing, but I got Billy and Jimmy. My cousin and I were Billy and Jimmy as kids because we are Billy and Jimmy. Shout out to my cousin Jimmy. But
Makes sense.
I got them, and I was like, I forgot all about these. Now, for those of you who follow us on TikTok, I'm out of focus. Shit. I don't even know how to fix that. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Tab of the camera worked. Okay, so I made a really big purchase this week. Again, I want to give a shout out to our partner Farva, who, when I said, hey, I want to finish up Summer of Grails in a big way. For those of you who have been following, we've been doing a series called Summer of Grails, 40 for 40 for my 40th birthday. There was a few extras and notable figures. Two of them are right here sitting on my desk that I haven't mentioned. These are the Tommy Tron figures from the 80s, from 1982. I had to buy one set of figures from the 80s that was built around my birthday. Tron is the only thing that had merchandise that was built around my birthday. But for you TMNT collectors, this is a massive grail. Like massive, massive grail. I purchased Hotspot. Now, he is incomplete. That is fine. But this figure cost me almost $700 in this condition.
If I can jump in for 2 seconds.
Fire away, man.
Why is that such an expensive figure?
So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was starting to die down in 1993 when this figure released.
Okay.
So like any figure line, chat, and you're going to know this. I know some of you in the chat are toy collectors, specifically nerd affiliated. So as you know, I'm a big WWF Hasbro collector, and I'll equate it to this. When Hasbro lost the license to WWF, their last line that was put out before the fabled orange card line that never got put out was Green Card, Series 11. So it was Ludwig Borga, Atom Bomb, Evil Crush, Bart Gunn, Billy Gunn, and Yokozuna in white tights. They were impossible to find because they barely were distributed because at this point nobody had interest in them. Like the hardcore collectors had interest in them, but in 1993, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was starting to be a dying property. The show was canceled. People were not as invested or interested in it, and Hotspot was a character like Scratch, like Monty Moose, like a few other characters. We can do a whole side discussion on the side characters of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that's content for another day. But Hotspot was one of those last characters that we call now heavy hitters. It was like him, Sandstorm, Scratch, and Scratch is one of the big ones, big ones. It's like when it comes down to it, those last turtles, Tyranno Shredder was huge. He's like 15,000 on card.
Jesus.
Okay, and then there's Shogun Shotei, which is another big one, who's like 600 or 700 with nothing. But there's a lot of them. But yeah, it was very terribly distributed. Like imagine walking into Target nowadays and you walk down the toy aisle and you see no toys in the toy aisle like you do. That's what it was like trying to find some of these figures back in the day. So they were ill-produced, low numbers in store, and they were impossible to find. Like KB Toys, probably 3 for $10.
God, KB Toys. There's a flashback.
It was a rough night trying to find them. But a friend of mine, for those of you who are toy collectors, if you're on Facebook, Northeastern Toy Tyrants is the place to be. I highly recommend the group. I'm one of the admins. That's why. But I always get a lot of that rarer stuff through there, like Warrior Metalhead Michelangelo I got from there.
Oh, okay.
Safari Michelangelo, same group, etc. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's difficult to find some of that older stuff, so it is hard. Now, before we move into our next segment, guys, I do have a huge announcement regarding the next of what's going on with the brand show. Should we tell them?
Yeah, fuck it.
Our trip to Tromaville.
Yeah, I still have to do my boarding pass.
We should still talk to them about that. Anyway, guys, so as you know, episode 6 is September 20th. Next episode is Bobby Valla. on September 6th. But first and foremost, after the 20th of September, we're going to take a short hiatus to take care of some things, get ready for episode 7, meet with some potential guests, go to New York Comic-Con, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to expect you guys to take a look at us on October 7th. Live from New York Comic-Con, we are going to announce the guest for episode 7, but tonight I'm really excited about this one. I've been talking about it very quietly. Certain people know about this one, but episode 6, I am beyond honored, and somebody clip this, to announce that Troma International co-founder and creator of the Toxic Avenger and Toxic Crusader, Lloyd Kaufman, will be live on the Brand Show.
This man texted me at 3:30 in the morning telling me this, and I didn't even understand what was happening until 8 a.m. the next morning.
Guys, the creator of all amazing Beeline independent movies, Return to Nukem High, Toxic Avenger, Shakespeare Shit Show, Toxic Crusader, and a man that I very much admire. I also am not, I haven't told him yet, I don't know if he's watching, but we will be having a third guest, or a second guest host on this show. Dan Burke from Mazza Media will be joining us for this very episode. We're very excited about this. Chris and I have been working very hard on this guest list. Let me tell you guys, at New York Comic-Con, we're going to announce another big guest. We cannot wait to tell you guys who it is. Hopefully Chris and I are going to make it there. It's just, money is expensive, but
well, no, money's cheap. We just don't have any.
Yeah, we don't have any. But we're really excited about Lloyd. So thank you to Gideon over at Troma for making this happen. We are really excited. We are really proud. Okay.
I actually didn't know that Troma had all those other properties. To be fair,
Troma's
I don't know
nuts.
a whole lot about Troma. I just thought it was Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, well, you're going to learn a lot about Troma in the next couple weeks. Same with Action Force and Valaverse.
Nice.
But it's August 23rd of 2022, and there's a lot of stuff that happened on this day. Edge reference.
Yes. On this day, Saints Row 5, obviously we talked about at the beginning. It came out. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Remaster.
Or Saints Row, not
Don't
Saints
listen
Row
to the
3.
reviews, my friends. I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes. Don't listen to the reviews.
I never do.
Also, Zero said he's taking your spot on the Troma episode.
How dare you? On this day last year, David Chapman, obviously the man who killed John Lennon, was denied parole for the 10th time. I don't see him getting it anytime soon because of what the fuck he did. And in 73, bank robbery turned hostage situation in Stockholm ended up happening. That ended up really kind of defining and creating what we now know as Stockholm Syndrome, where the captors are, or the captees rather, are empathetic towards the captors. It's a whole thing. So today is the anniversary of Stockholm Syndrome being a thing. Long story short.
Yeah.
And yeah. Also, one other thing to add in on records, something I actually just got sent like 5 minutes ago from one of my favorite connects for records, brooklynvegan.com. Thank you very much for this. For anyone that is into stoner metal, which I don't know if there's any fans of that in the audience. I know you are, obviously. The band Sleep.
Pod.
Yeah. They are re-releasing their album Dope Smoker, which everyone in the scene fucking knows. Exclusively, it is being marketed as a weedy and hi-fi pressing.
I swear to God, if there's not some strand of weed in this record like they did with Dr. Dre, I'm going to be pissed.
Literally what I'm talking about. So they're taking full-blown pot leaves, coating them in PVC, and then pressing them into the vinyl.
Wait a minute.
As a record to buy and play.
Dramatic pause. 20 seconds. Cannabis has so many uses.
Smoke weed every day. Anyway.
Exactly.
So it's only available at Third Man Records in Detroit because of the scarcity of it. But I just thought that was super fucking cool that was a thing. I found that out from Brooklyn Vegan like 10 minutes ago.
That's pretty rad. Road trip?
I wish, but it's already sold out.
Damn it! That just sounds amazing. All right. So let's get right into the news. We got a lot to talk about.
We're
going to be bringing in our guest, Carlos Ferro, very soon. We're going to talk a lot of stuff with Carlos tonight. That's going to be a great episode. First and foremost, did you watch She-Hulk?
I did.
What?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Wow.
It's my first Marvel show I've watched outside of Luke Cage years
Did you stay
ago.
for the end credits?
No.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry. I have 1,000 things going on here. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil the end credits scene, but there was a great end credits scene. Just to double back for a second here, that Stoner Rock record you were talking about, they're pressing a cannabis leaf, Steve, into the record. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, but booze, family fights, and the origin of Jennifer Walters. Overall, my opinion is that people are stupid and really review bomb the shit out of this show. I had so much fun. The after credits scene talking about Captain America made me almost pee my pants. I fell off the couch laughing.
I heard about that. So
Wait a minute, Captain America's a virgin?
Yeah.
All right, guys, just for the record, if you need to, I need you to mute right now if you haven't watched She-Hulk yet, because Captain America! There you go.
America's
Dramatic-
ass can't
Dramatic
get no ass.
rendition of what we talked about with America's ass. So I love that. But speaking of Marvel news, Avengers Infinity War has been usurped. Debunked.
Or dethroned, not debunked.
By $1 million by Top Gun Maverick, $679 million at the North American box office. Very exciting.
I still have to see that movie.
Yeah, me too. A return to classic 80s movies. Amazing. Really excited for it to come out on DVD. And speaking of that too, another little piece of movie news that I'm really excited about. Jamie Lee Curtis and David Gordon Green announced today that Halloween Ends, for those of you who are not going to the movies as much. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Carlos is texting us.
Ah, yes, the guest.
So where was I? Oh my God. Halloween Ends is going to be premiering on Peacock TV and on in theaters simultaneously, which is really exciting for those of us who are immunosuppressed.
Cool shit. I like that.
That's really exciting. So guys, watch party at my house Friday, October 14th. Come through. Little bit of game news here. We're gonna let you roll through it. We'll go back to Saints Row. But
so we're gonna speed through this because a lot fucking happened as of just a few hours ago. So Saints Row 5, we're gonna talk about that when Carlos is on. Fortnite, as much shit as I get for playing it, had a lot of shit go on this week. Dragon Ball Z finally is in Fortnite on the 16th after 3 years now of hinting at something going on with it. Long running tease is now finally in the game. There's been events. There's all sorts of stuff. Everyone's complaining about the Kamehameha being OP. Get better at the
Kamehameha!
I saw a video today where someone called it the Call Me a Mama, and I almost threw my phone through the wall.
Okay.
Well, it was infuriating.
Let's get back to this. Looks like there was some news about Destiny too.
Yeah, so Destiny's now in Fortnite as of a couple of hours ago because Epic and Bungie are doing some stuff together. So it launched at 7 o'clock tonight on the East Coast. It was leaked over the weekend. Official confirmation came with the announcement. Destiny inspired remakes of Drift, Oblivion, and Black Knight skins, as well as Zavala, the Exo Stranger, and Akora skins are in the game, and there's more to come. There's also stuff coming to Fall Guys as well.
All right, and with that also, too, guys, Roller Drome was quietly released by Sony this past week. Check it out if you haven't already. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I want you to go play the game. It's cel-shaded, hand-drawn. It's beautiful. Gamescom started last night.
This is all you.
This is nuts! Gamescom is already kicking off. Gamescom, I didn't realize Gamescom kicked off on a Tuesday. I thought it was tomorrow. But
I have something to add in as well from Gamescom.
Okay, cool. Let's get to there. All right, anyway, Dead Island 2 is real. We saw our first trailer and our first gameplay footage. Can't wait. It's only a few months away. DualSense Edge was announced by Sony. It's their whatever you want to call it, competitor to Xbox's Elite controller. Yep. Under the Waves announced from Quantic Dream. Need to learn more about that. Stay tuned to the show. I'll keep you up to date on that. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is getting a fucking game! Okay. And last but not least, High on Life from Justin Roiland is coming. And speaking of Justin Roiland, Multiverses Season 1 has started. Morty released today. Make sure to check that out. And we have a review and 2 coming, hopefully, in the next week on that game. Stay tuned on TikTok for that.
One other thing to add in from Gamescom, Gotham Knights officially announced and confirmed all of its villains.
Yep.
It's also coming out a lot sooner than we thought. It's
4
coming
extra
out
days sooner.
Yeah, it's coming out October 21st, but we have Harley Quinn, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, Penguin, and the Court of Owls all as confirmed villains as of now.
Thank God we're getting Talon, but we're going to talk more about this on the other side because I want to talk video games with our guest tonight. Our guest tonight is an OG in the voice acting industry and probably one of the most notable characters in Gears of War history. So stay tuned with us. We'll be right back with our guest, Carlos Ferro.
See you soon.
Hey, you nerds. Welcome back. Guys, we are here with an OG in the game. This man has done more in his life than most of us will possibly do and is a co-star on the new Disney Plus series, Baymax, my good friend, Carlos Ferro.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
How are you,
Thanks
man?
for having me.
Hey, anytime.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
If you want to take over for Smallz, you know, we can work this out.
Wait, hold up.
If you want to take over co-hosting this show with me, I mean,
hold on.
Listen, we got stories upon stories upon stories tonight, so. I almost lost my thing. But Zero told me to tell you, Smallz. I got a text, and I quote, "Bye, Smallz. You're fired."
Oh no, it's in the chat too. I'm morally offended.
It's in my phone too. All right, guys. So let's get into this.
So you know what's funny? I want to be clear. I want to be clear because I'll be addressing you as Billy. Honestly, I'm addressing another adult male as Smallz. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Well, his last name is Small, but we call him Smallz.
Okay.
So, you can call me Chris if you want. I go by many names. Smallz is just the most prevalent.
Well, the reason
Smallz is fine.
The reason we call him Smallz is because, well, first and foremost, he never made the final cut for the Sandlot.
Because I was good in baseball, you jackass.
He was good in baseball, exactly why. So with that being said, let's catch up with you, man. So for those of you who don't know Carlos Ferro, if you've played Gears of War, you should know this man as Dom Santiago. If you've played The Godfather, you know this man as Michael Corleone. If you've played any of the Assassin's Creed series from 2007 to 2010, you know this man as Leonardo da Vinci. And if you're playing Saints Row, I have no idea who the hell he is in the game yet because I haven't gotten that far.
You're really lucky that disc is in the console right now.
Yeah, I am. Carlos, let the brand fam know about you. Tell them who you are, my man.
Well, that's a great introduction, man. I should hire you as my publicist. That's right up on the money.
You know this.
I have done so many interviews, and it's really amazing how I'll like kind of not over prepare, but certainly prepare a bit, find out about the host, what we're doing. I mean, you and I are friends, so that's a little different. But in all these cases where I'm really ready, I'll come on and they'll go, Carlos, you're a voice actor, right? I mean, did I get that right? You're a voice actor? And I'm like, fuck, like we're gonna have a lot of work to do before we can talk. You know what I mean? Like before we can talk about anything. It's like, yes, and there are these jobs for those voiceover actors in video games, perhaps. And I'm serious. I've done some where they're like, wait a minute. Are you serious? You mean your voice is in the game? And I'm like, fuck, like, what are we going to do now? Like we're nowhere near an interview.
Jesus Christ, man. Well, listen, your career spans years.
Happens.
I've known you since the old days. And by the old days, for those of you youngins in there, this is back when Carlos and I were like in our 20s. And Carlos and I were going to parties, and Carlos was texting me at 11:45 to bail him out of a shit party and go to another party, and then he spilled a bottle of tequila on me. But that's another story for later in the show. I'll get into that. Let's talk all about
Sounds about
you.
Right. Sounds about right.
Let's talk about you. It started out with the Midnight Caller series in 1990, 2 episodes as Luis Ruiz. How did that kick off? Like, how did I know Midnight Caller? It's a very series.
I've got capsulized versions of all these stories, and I try to keep them kind of fresh. The context for your viewers, listeners right now is if you know Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby, and Office Space, and if you know who Gary Cole is, who played Mr. Brady in the Brady Bunch movies, and you know that he's Ricky Bobby's dad in Talladega Nights, and he's also he's a meme, for fuck's sake. If you get that for me, that'd be great. In Office Space.
Yep.
His big show, his big series was Midnight Caller on NBC, and it just happened to be shot in my hometown of San Francisco. And local hires, when it comes to shows like Midnight Caller, Nash Bridges was another one in San Francisco. And, for example, even like when they do stuff like Miami Vice, any shows, there's something for your older viewers. When they do shows that are very regional, they always bring in actors to have like under 5 lines. It's like sort of a union rule that, local hires, you can't just come in, blow into town and not use any local actors. Well, this was supposed to be that, but it ended up being a 2-episode arc, really great part, and it was my first network gig. So I kind of came into television swinging, like it looked like I was one of the LA actors. If I want to give any kind of Easter egg to people that would give a fuck, by the way, we can curse, right?
All you want. All you want. This show
is a sailor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this show is not recommended for those under the age of 18 or those that have no sense of fucking humor. So tone out
or a heart
condition.
Don't.
or as I tell families and children at my panels, if you don't like swearing, you're fucked.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have heard that live, may I add.
I'm sure you have.
12.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. So, so Midnight Caller kind of kicked off television for me, and it also was happening. A few years later, like the middle of the '90s, I would end up be living in LA and starting to get my LA career off the ground. And episodic, I won't say it was easier, but certainly it was nice to have tape from a network dramatic show. I didn't have he went that away, Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? It was like a little more of an acting gig.
Speaking role, yeah. And for the record, Midnight Caller was a very popular series in the '90s. Huge.
Yeah.
Like Nash Bridges, one of the most popular. I mean, I was like 9 at the time, but my grandmother watched it, so I watched it with her.
Ouch. I know. The reason I bring up
TV.
Gary Cole is that people now will see pictures of me from Midnight Caller where I look like my grandson. I mean, I really was a baby playing older because I it's funny. You can see that I'm trying to like look the part, but there's no way you can add 10 years on your age. You know what I mean? So I did look like this kid. And again, I think it served the scene, but Gary Cole looks like not my big brother, looks like my dad. And, he's now, everybody's dad. He's the Brady Bunch dad. He's Ricky Bobby's dad. He's on Office Space. He's the fucking dick boss. So, I mean, it's cool to have a touchstone with him because then people are like, oh shit, I know who Gary Cole is.
For those of you who don't know who Gary Cole is, that's Gary Cole.
Yeah.
But, Gary Cole has had some of the best supporting roles in history. I think Reese Bobby is probably one of my favorite roles of his, but
that's the one that everyone recognizes him from. Cat.
And we have cats.
Yeah, my cat just invaded the shot. Yeah, no,
we love it.
She's been doing that.
My Frenchie will do that. You've met Rebecca. Rebecca and I adopted another Frenchie in 2017 named Maggie, and you'll see her every now and again. She'll run through the background. She'll look like Ghostface in the first Scream. Just
nice.
It's amazing. But yeah, we're a pet friendly show too. Cats can come on and be interviewed if they'd like.
Excellent. She's not shy, so that might happen.
That's not a bad thing. Now, getting back to Midnight Caller again, one of the biggest series of the '90s, right there with Nash Bridges, trading ratings all three of the early '90s. I remember it went 5 seasons, 6
7.
seasons. Okay, I'm a little off as I got older.
It's like I only know that because I could be wrong, but I know that it was on a long time, and Star Trek: The Next Generation was 7 seasons, and I thought there was some symmetry there, but I could be wrong.
Right. Well, speaking of Star Trek: The Next Generation, since Zero already called it out in the chat, another big role for you, Star Trek: The Next Generation. You were Dern, season 7, episode 19, actually, to be exact. I did my research.
7th to last episode. I always tell people, and this is definitely on brand for me. Someone goes, "You were on Star Trek: The Next Generation," and they're like, "What episode?" It's never like, "What episode?" It's like, "How is that possible?" And I'm like, "Because it was the 7th, because it's the 7th to last episode of all time. Because I'm not that fucking old, you know what I mean?" So, but it has the distinction. It's the only episode that was ever directed by Gates McFadden, who played Dr. Crusher. So for the Trekkies that might be watching, it's kind of cool that I was hired by Gates, by Dr. Beverly Crusher. It was cool.
Yeah, and it's funny. I recently got into Star Trek. It's one of those things where, like, Star Trek seems to find people late in life, okay? Like, I just turned 40 in June, and one of the first things I got as a gift was all the original Star Trek episodes, all 3 seasons, on Blu-ray. And I sat down and I banged through them, and I'm starting Next Generation hopefully this week. Looks like my leave of absence is going to go a little longer, so I have some time to just sit down and watch them. But
nice.
Just watching those old episodes, not even the remastered versions that come on the Blu-ray, like, you really realize how special Star Trek was, and like when they brought it back in the 90s or the late 80s, and they brought in Picard and they brought in all these new characters and continued the lore of the Enterprise. It became such a huge staple of that late Gen X, early millennial timeline. Same with Star Wars. That, like, after Star Trek: The Next Generation really hit, you really started to see other sci-fi properties really kick back up. You saw Blade Runner start to make a comeback. Not even the remasters or anything like that, but that made a comeback. And then eventually Tron. And then you saw Star Trek: The Next Generation. But 97, and we all know and we all speculate, Star Wars came back with the remasters because Star Trek: The Next Generation was pummeling. Plain and simple.
There's a lot of that. I mean, historically, I mean, for someone who was there to watch it happen, they were very, very much related. It was one would bounce off the popularity of the other. If people that were starved for sci-fi content, they would, they always say in all fandoms, there's a rivalry is kind of oddly healthy because it encourages and nudges the other to do better and to do more. Yep. And I think there's no better example of that in pop culture than Star Wars and Star Trek. Is that Star Wars, we got our Star Wars flavor that we're very familiar with, and we wanted more of that.
Yeah.
And Star Trek, again, we have so much TV and the films that we if you know Star Trek, you want that, and you know exactly what that means. So one being like, we're not them, and the other one being like, we're not them either. That's only healthy. It's only going to keep promoting more series, more shows.
Absolutely.
And it was really cool to be a part of that universe. I knew when I was there for 2 weeks on the Paramount lot, I knew it would be something I'd be talking about for the rest of my life. You just know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Next Generation is one of the most influential sci-fi shows.
You're like, talk about it now.
Yeah, and you know what? Here we stand. It's Star Trek: The Next Generation first appeared in what? 89? 88?
Something like that, like 89, 89.
I grew up watching it. I grew up doing Star Trek rather than Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. 37 years later, here we are sitting on a video podcast, something we saw on TV. Bring them up on the video screen. Bloop. And here we are doing that, talking about it.
Yeah,
like this is Inception on its core.
And I'm using my full disclosure. I'm not using a laptop. I'm using my iPad, which is straight from Star Trek: The Next Generation tech. That is, there were predictions. There were pads in the original series, but they look more like a clipboard. Really, like it was a glorified sign for these.
Sign this.
Sign for these crystals. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And now we do it every. Now we do it every day.
Do it every day.
I can't tell you the last time I printed anything. Cool. I built this computer that could probably run the Enterprise, for Christ's sakes. Like, and you know what? It's amazing how things like that have like influenced technology, pop culture, and so forth. And you know what? Not that this is a part of your like history, but you bounce back to Tron and when they were talking about bytes and the grid and everything like that. And God, who played Flynn? I forget his name now. It's like on the top of my head. It's like right here. Oh my God!
Who played who? Flynn?
Who played Flynn
Jeff Bridges.
in Tron? Yes, Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges. He talks about it in an interview on the special features for the original Tron movie, where he was saying, we didn't know what bytes and kilobytes were and what the grid was going to be, and all these things that became like reality. It's almost like Tron wrote a storyline that became society and reality as a whole. And it's amazing how everything like we see nowadays and the things we hold and we use every day, like having a communicator on your wrist, like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or having a tablet like you're on right now, like in Tron or in Star Trek or something like that. It's amazing.
Yeah. It really is TV becoming reality.
It's 2022 and we still don't have Jetsons houses, an underground fallout shelter, or flying
cars. So I'll do a deep cut for you. You guys,
fire away.
Do both of you know Logan's Run?
Absolutely, I know Logan's Run. He's a little younger than me, but I'm sure he knows it.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Smallz, are you familiar with Logan's Run?
Well, very
what's funny is that the three of us are rhapsodizing about all of this technology that's come true. Mm-hmm. In Logan's Run, you can order up a date, and I thought, now that would be something.
Tinder.
That would be something.
Tinder.
Yeah. Tinder. Yeah,
that is a really deep cut. And you know what? I'm gonna take it even deeper for you. We're gonna go back to Total Recall now and living on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah.
SpaceX.
Yeah.
SpaceX.
You know what's crazy? I have a friend of mine. She's an astronaut. Her name is Kelly Girardi, and she's booked on the trip that they just talked about yesterday to Mars. That's going to take 7 months to get there, and they're leaving in 10 years. And I know someone that's going to go to Mars. And this is she's a friend, right? So it's a mean joke, but I think you guys will appreciate it. When we were talking about it, I said, "So you're going to go die on Mars?" And I was trying to be funny, and she looked at me like you don't come back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
literally.
You know what I mean?
Dark.
That's dark.
Isn't it dark?
Fuck, that's
dark,
a flex.
So dark, dude. But
imagine you come back like, I was on Mars. What of it?
Like, think about it. Like, she's gonna go to Mars and terraform. She's probably gonna be a part of the terraforming team, I would assume. I mean, it's amazing, but
it's amazing though. It's amazing.
Even deeper cuts, Idiocracy.
When was the last time somebody said to you? When was the last time somebody said to you, "I know someone that's going to Mars"? That's one that you should write on your blackboard
today.
I would put that on my resume.
I'll put that. I'll put that on my resume. I got my resume.
I'll put that on my tombstone.
But our good friend Steve Archer from Nerd Affiliated took it, and the chat's going wild right now, having some fun. Steve Archer of Nerd Affiliated, a very dear friend of mine. This is a show you also got to be on, may I add. Hey Archer Live on Thursday nights. Steve, get in touch with me. I'll get you in touch with Carlos. But he said Idiocracy. We had a celebrity president.
What a
Reagan
phenomenally terrible movie.
What a terrible movie, but Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump were both actors and celebrities before they were president. Like the deep cut we're going into right now is Brandception. We're literally in Brandception right now, thanks to the chat and Carlos, which I'm all about. You know, like we can go deep into this, but let's stick in the 90s because there's a show I need to talk about that I'm a huge fan of because the guy who created this character is one of my heroes. I have his autograph and things that recognized of this character all around this room, and this was something I used to stay up late to watch. You were Jesus, cop number 1, and a gorilla in season 3, episode 3 of my favorite animated series, Spawn. How the hell did that happen?
Well, I am so proud of working on Spawn the animated series, and I'll give you guys a lot of really thank you for bringing that up because it's one of those things I don't get to talk about very often.
Mind you, I'm also not your atypical podcast host.
I mean, yeah, listen to this guy. Listen to him brag.
I've known you for a million years.
What I was going to say is,
he's also super humble.
Yes, this experience, very humble, very modest. Modesty is Billy Nichols' middle name. So I get this gig and I'm already a black card carrying geek. I'm a comic book collector, an animation fan, a sci-fi geek. Like Spawn was already one of my fandoms, like strong fandoms. And they make this animated series, but I'm going to give you guys quick, so we don't, dwell on it too long. I'm going to give you guys some quick fun facts. Well, here's the fun fact. I don't have all night, goddammit. No, I'm kidding. So here we go. First of all, HBO animation did not exist. There was no such thing. What? So HBO went into the animation market and they only ever did it twice. They did it with Spawn the animated series and a show called Spicy City. It was the only two things that HBO Animation ever produced, and it was for this year where they were launching their animation wing for this, this adult kind of HBO type style animation. And they get Todd McFarlane's Spawn as the property. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Look at
just for anybody who didn't know what it is, you need to look it up.
Flashbacks is what that was.
So it's incredible. Spawn the animated series is beautiful. It's incredible. Todd was in the booth, in the recording booth, every time I was there. And it took some doing. It was one of those things that, at least where we were in technology and recording and dubs and all that, it took a little longer than it does now. Like people weren't recording from home and shit. Like, it was something to pull together all these, as I like to call it back then. Back in that part of my career, I used to say, they'd say, who's in it? And I'd say, movie stars and me. Because that was what it was. It was always movie stars and then me.
Keith David's in there with you, man.
Somehow. And in this, well, Keith David's the voice of Spawn, and he's the voice. He's
Keith
the
David,
voice,
man.
And not to jump ahead of your topics. Here's my cat again. Not to jump ahead of topics, but I would work with Keith David after that, like 2 or 3 more times, and always playing either his secondary or someone kind of in dealing with him. So I've got to act with that cat, and he's one of my heroes from John Carpenter's They Live and every other movie he's ever been in. And his voice is still the voice that every actor kind of aspires to do in what I do. In video games and cartoons, we all want to sound like Keith David, or at least have that kind of range. So we've got movie stars and me, Todd McFarlane in the booth, and we're doing a show that's anime style for the American market. We're not dubbing something Japanese. So it was just mind-blowing and innovative and cool to have notes from the actual creator of Spawn. But this is so that's the pretty much the capitalization of my experience on Spawn. Besides, like, Richard Dysart playing Cogliostro, he was on a show called St. Elsewhere in the 70s, and then he was an ACT actor, which is what I am, an American Conservatory actor from San Francisco. So there was all these connections to my studying, my career where it was, my geekery and fandom, and like, and stuff that I you're a young actor, you want these things to be successful. So it was a really good time in my career. But here's the best part. Here's the part that's straight up just for your podcast, because I rarely get to speak on this. It was the first time that John DiMaggio and Carlos Ferro worked together in the booth.
No way.
Spawn the Animated Series has Spawn the Animated Series has Cop 1 and Cop 2. What? And we were recording together.
What?
Our director was Jack Fletcher. And he hired us both. Totally not. We didn't have the what would be then 20 plus years of working together. We were just two actors that had the same agent and had the same friends and knew the same directors and all this, because he's a TV guy too. He's an on-camera guy. Oh, yeah. And so we both get this cool new job on Spawn, and we had no idea. We wouldn't know for a decade plus that we were going to be Marcus and Dom for the rest of our lives. So it was the first time that happened. And then we ended up doing an anime called Golgo 13, where he was Golgo 13, the good guy, and I was Thomas Waltham, the bad guy. So it kind of did. Spawn the Animated Series did launch this chemistry minimally, The friendship was starting, but the chemistry between me and John would go on for the rest of our lives, where we'd get in the booth and we're ready to fucking kill it, So, that's the best part of this Spawn story. You said I can take my time. I will give you. Billy, I'm a chatty guy. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you came to the right place for stories.
It's a 3-hour line just to come say hello to you on a show. It's a 3-hour line to see you.
We'll be here all night. So
that's fine.
I will tell you this. I have never ever told the story. So this is only for your channel. I've never told the story because it's not flattering, but I think it's funny. Okay. So it's Cop 1 and Cop 2. And who we're acting with is Jennifer Jason Leigh. She's a vampire in the show. So we've got, again, movie stars and us, right? And in this thing, he plays this big cop that says, whatever, how are you doing, okay, or something. And we're both supposed to be New York cops because that's where the show takes place. And then I have the line to like some other person. I'm like, Lakeisha, you all right? I was looking for you. You doing okay? And stays quiet after we record. And Jack, the director, goes up, hey, Carlos, we really want to push the New York thing. So can you be more New York? And John, who's from New Jersey, looks at me like, okay, whatever, it seems fine to me. So we do the dot lines again. And then we come back to me and I'm like in my head, I sound ridiculous, right? To me, I sound like cartoony, but I'm like, Lakeisha, you okay? I'm trying to make sure that you're all right. Are you doing all right? I want to make sure that you're not in any kind of trouble. You know what I'm saying to you right now? Like I sound like the Dice Man, right? Right?
Need a bagel.
So I do that, right? And there's quiet. We're waiting for notes. And one of the writers and Jack and Todd and everybody goes, that was great, which usually means that was not great. That was great. Carlos, John, you're good. Carlos, could you make it New York this time? And of course, John, who I barely know, is pissing himself laughing. Just he has to walk out of where they can't see him in the window and they can't hear him on mic, and he's just laughing. And I'm like, oh yeah, because you don't go fuck. You don't argue. It's like, of course I can. I was trying something different. I was definitely not doing my best New York accent, and you guys don't like it. Let me try that one more time. And so
I think you've broken Billy.
Kidding. The last guy was like a cross between like Ralph Cramden from The Honeymooners with like the Dice Man, with like every New York stereotype I could come up with.
Oh God.
I was. And again, this wasn't the biggest part in the show, guys. Like, this is me starting out as an animation voice actor, and I'm like, yo, you okay? Like, it was fucking like this bizarre fucking thing. And I'm like, you all right, Lakeisha? I'm clearly from New York, a very specific part of town, and I'm definitely not a California actor. So as I was saying, like it was that like crazy, and I'm not kidding. They're like, there you go, cool. All right, let's move on. And I was like, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm getting fucking fired, dude. Like that's all an actor thinks about, you know.
This
John
needs to be a clip,
is
man.
just kind of still smiling, and laughing.
That's fantastic.
So
that there you go. That's a story I've never told.
So this is insane. And I mean, I did a lot of research. Obviously, dude, I've known you for a million years, but John went on to do amazing things. Like, you went on to do amazing things. Why was there never a rub for you to be in Futurama then? Oh my God, you're about to tell me something.
No. You'd be surprised.
There's
You'd be
a secret
surprised
season.
how close. How close. No, this is what happens. This is really, I'll give you guys a tiny bit of insight that you may not already have into just acting. It's not even voice acting, guys. It's just acting. We audition, for those of us that are busy and stay busy for a long time. I've been very lucky. We audition for everything, dude. Like, we audition for everything. Like I would make your head spin if I told you the jobs, all good actors, all reasonably good actors have great stories about almost getting the job, about it being down to them and a movie star, or them and the actor that got it, and it changed that actor's career. I've got 20 plus years of stories that are just like, fuck, how do you even deal with that? And it's like, it's part of our life. We get very accustomed to it. It sounds strange to somebody else, but things like The Simpsons, Simpsons, Futurama, the Mac Groening shows. I know everybody over there, and they all know me. And we've come close on a lot of stuff. Some things were kind of offered to me that I didn't take. It's a long story, man, but it's let's just say that in some cases I don't want to get weird on your show, but you'll understand. Sometimes you don't want to take that job. Does that make sense? There's a job that you're like, yeah, it's right there on a silver platter, but I don't want to play. I don't want to play that guy. I don't want to do that guy. And those things have come up. Those things have come up. Yeah. So there you go.
And well, funny story, that actually happened to me, so I understand it. I've had the luck of having two small voice acting roles. I did Samuel Prescott in Children of Liberty, and I did Agent Rhodes in this small game for Reactive Studios called Codename Cygnus. So the guys from Codename Cygnus came to me like 3 months after I did that second game, and they were like, "Billy, how's your British accent?" I'm like, "Well, it's not very good, but I can work on it." And Carlos drops his iPad because my British accent's that bad. Technical difficulties. We'll be right back.
Serious technical difficulties. My feed was fucked up. My cat knocked the pad down. It was bullshit. Right.
Well, we're okay.
We're
you know what? 5 points for the cat for knocking it over. That's okay. I'll give it a drum roll just for that.
5 points to Gryffindor.
I will send you to Jesus.
So the guys from Reactive came to me and they're like, "How would you like to read for a Mother Goose story?" And I was like, let me look at the script. And that was the end of my voice acting career because I never did anything after that. I got back into podcasting.
Terrifying.
I got into.
Well, I mean, I'll be very specific. I don't want to be cagey. I don't want to be cagey about it. Okay, some cartoons, and I'm not saying Simpsons and Futurama, but I might be. So there was a time where jobs would come up that I thought were kind of insulting, man. I thought they were kind of just not my jam. Not my jam. To like, I could do the job, but if I thought it was a little over the top, I was like, there's people there that are the best voice actors on planet Earth. They literally are the best we got. So they can handle it. So when they farm it out to fucking bring in somebody they think might bring a nice flavor, it's flattering, it's cool. But I at the same time, I'm like, I don't know that I want to play that asshole or that shitty version of somebody. And that's I don't, like I said, I don't want to be cagey. That's exactly what I'm saying, is that I've turned down some stuff and I also haven't gotten stuff for those reasons. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie. I would just love a scene where you walk by Bender and say something to him and he turns around and he just goes off into Marcus' voice. It would be just so funny. It would be a great Easter egg for those of us who played Gears. Now, I do have a John DiMaggio story because you actually are the reason I got to meet him. I made a comment. I was at a show. I think it was in Rhode Island, Providence to be exact. And John was signing and he was getting ready to leave. And I walked over to his assistant, a really nice girl. I forgot her name. And I go, "Hey, I'm here to meet John DiMaggio. I'm a friend of Carlos Ferro." And she goes, "He's leaving." And that's when I mentioned your name. Was like, "Oh, I'm a friend of Carlos Ferro." And he goes, "Oh, okay, 1 minute." John walks over, starts talking about you, making funny. It was great. And I have a gold Bender pop that he signed to me and my wife, and it says, Billy and Rebecca, shut up, baby. I know it. And then he signed it. And he was telling us stories about, I forget what he was telling us stories about. He told us some wacky story from recording Gears, from the first Gears. I forget what the story was.
Okay.
I remembered it.
Well, I will tell you, are we jumping up to the first Gears?
No, we're not there yet.
We have
a lot to go. We have a lot to go before we get to Gears. But that's one of those things. I wanted to bring up Gears because, you know, it was something that he mentioned and it was fun to hear about. You know, you hear it from peers, and it's always a good story. But I mean, we're far from Gears. There's so much that came in between. I mean, when we get to current, there's even more now. After Spawn, there was Reign the Conqueror. You know, and I mean, there's a million things we can talk about. We can talk about Static Shock. We can talk about X-Men: The Next Dimension because you were Forge. We can talk about Radico from Justice League. We can talk about you being in James Bond, Everything or Nothing, the game.
That's with Keith David.
Well, you're in Saints Row with Keith David.
That's with Keith David, so that's kind of cool.
Okay, well, we'll get to it.
Keith, like I said, I've worked with Keith a few times.
But there's so much that we can talk about.
Yes, but you have 3 hours. I don't have 3 hours. I'm trying to pick our battles here.
Well, you pick your battles. I mean, we're in between Spawn and Gears of War right now, so you lead the way. If you got something you want to talk about, a piece of your career you want to talk about, let's roll.
Well, I will tell you the thing about Justice League. That was just, again, those tentpole moments that change sort of the trajectory of your career and where it's going. And I owe a lot to Anja Romano, who directed me in just about every Warner Brothers thing and every Hanna-Barbera thing I've ever done. And she likes to assemble it's rare. Ralph Bakshi did it on Spicy City as well, is they put us all in a room together and we do it as a staged reading, like a play, which is very unusual. It's normally we record individually and then they cobble it together and they fix it and they have other people fix stuff that they can't afford to bring us back to fix. Not here. In this case, everything that I've done that's Warner Brothers or Hanna-Barbera, I'm there with all the actors. So it's like the Justice fucking League, and then me and Keith David and, you know, Pepe Serna and whoever else are playing the supporting characters or the villains or whatever, villains in this case. And this two-parter Hearts and Minds is a Despero episode, and it's a really popular 2-episode arc. And I play the piece of shit that fucks over his whole planet. And it's one of those clips that I have on my reel that I'm so proud of, solely because it's me and Keith David talking, but he's the bad guy, and he actually asked me, "Why are you betraying your entire planet, essentially?" And I say,
well, look at him. He kind of looks like a guy who would betray a planet.
That's exactly right. And that
like
guy right there, in fact, that's the moment where I am a dick. That's when I say, I only. It's really fucked up, guys.
Go ahead.
So Keith David says, "What do you stand to gain from this betrayal?" And I say, "I only wish to be on the winning side." I mean, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'd rather win. You know, I'd rather serve the vampires than be killed by one. It's amazing.
I remember watching that, and I was in college when that Justice League series came out, and I remember watching those 2 episodes. You're right; it is a very popular arc because that was literally a talking point of my college radio show for a long time.
Jon Stewart is such a big deal, you know, and he gets a 2-parter. It was awesome.
Absolutely, he does, and I remember going, man, Rodolfo's a piece of shit, like 35 fucking times in one night.
Yeah.
I remember looking at my girlfriend at the time and saying the same thing, and she goes, "Yeah, fuck that guy," not knowing what she's talking about. But
my girlfriend called him, if I remember correctly, you're an evil, sexy sea monkey.
I'm sorry, but you look like a purple Wish.com Savage Dragon.
There you go. That is. I wish Savage Dragon is fair.
If Savage Dragon was purple from Wish.com, I ordered, what I got.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Couple more things, then we're going to go to our first break of the night. Carlos is going to be with us for as long as he wants to be. But let's jump back here for a second, because X-Men: The Next Dimension was a really fun game in the 2000s. You played probably one of the most pivotal characters in X-Men history. One of the more knowledgeable, one of the more important, like not like, oh my God, it's Wolverine important, but one of those characters you couldn't have an arc without. You played Forge.
Yeah.
Talk about that
Forge,
experience.
Well, it's fighting, you know, it's I think it's my only fighting game, and I'm a big fan of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. So the idea, at least especially back then with the first Xbox and PlayStation 2 and stuff like that, is that everything was new and exciting. You know what I mean? There was no Xbox. There was no all these. You had power that you didn't have, on the previous gaming consoles, and so. And so, the idea of playing anything, Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, was big. And now I'm going to be in the X-Men one. And that was, it really resonated with me. It was a big deal to me. It resonated with my people. We were all very proud of the fact that I was an X-Man and would again be one for the rest of my life. I actually knew the actor. He passed away, who played Forge on the animated 97 series. And we were comparing notes on it, and he thought I was more inclined to do the character justice, even though it's just a fighting game, just to give him a little dignity, because the character in the comics is very dignified. He's more than a shaman,
and he's very robust and royal.
Yeah, and regal, and demands respect. So it's not just a guy with a cannon on his arm, So it was cool to play this, pseudo Native American yet
and he's a
badass
John Romita
character.
Creation on top of it all.
Yeah, man. And I mean, if you're a fan of Spider-Man or anything else, that's where it's at. John Romita, absolutely.
Well, he was voiced by there's two people that have voiced him beyond you. There was Samuel Vincent in X-Men Evolution. Roger Craig Smith voiced him in Wolverine and the X-Men. And oh my God, who was in the animated series?
I was going way back, but yeah, I
can't remember who did it in the animated series, but I remember him just being amazing.
Yeah. He was an older cat too, but the fun in that is that you're a fucking X-Man. You know what I mean? There's no. I was watching Deadpool 2 last night, and there's always that part of me that any jokes at the expense of Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters is fun, man. And any reference to the X-Men, it's a bit tongue in cheek, and those fighting games are very tongue in cheek because we're beating the shit out of each other. You know what I mean? And doing these crazy combinations that only happen in Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. So it was fun, man. It was that really the capsulization of my experience, besides being very proud of this cool character, is that it was fun. It was really fun. And playing myself, not playing with myself. Sort your shit out, pervs. But playing my character was really fucking awesome. It was cool.
That sounds unreal, being an X-Men. That's one thing I will never be in my life. Guys, we're here with Carlos Ferro. We're going to go to our first break. We're going to be back with you in just under 3 minutes. Stay tuned. We still got to talk about Saints Row, Gears of War, and a bunch of other stuff. Stay tuned. It's The Brand Show, and we'll be live in just a moment. Welcome back to the Brand Show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're still with us, and if you're still getting here, well, first of all, if you're just getting here, you're fired. You've missed a good 35, 40 minutes of Carlos Ferro, and that's, well, you're going to have to watch it Thursday on YouTube. We got Carlos for another 45 minutes. Then we're going to hang around for a little bit after Carlos, and we're going to talk some more GamesCon. There's a lot of stuff in news we didn't get to because we had to get Carlos in. As you know, we bring in guests around 8:30, and excuse you, Amanda, for having a life. Anyway, guys, this is Carlos Ferro. If you're just getting into the chat, welcome. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the more prominent stuff within Carlos Ferro's career now, starting with everybody's favorite Gears of War.
Yeah. Or I should say.
Go ahead.
And watch, the chat is like, oh fuck. The chat must be like, here it comes. It was just a matter of time. It was like this. Like, when's this gonna happen? Sup, bitches?
Now, Smallz and I are very familiar with Gears. Smallz is an obsessive Gears fan.
So many memories.
I'm going to let him lead this section, and I'm going to talk more about Assassin's Creed, so Smallz, take it away.
So, Gears of War holds a very special place in my heart, mainly for high school, because that's when it came out for me on the 360.
Ouch.
And I have just...
Yeah, we're old, Carlos. We really are old.
I know. Fuck.
Leave me alone, man. I'm sorry.
This reminds me of when I was in 3rd grade. It's like, fuck.
Right. Well, I always make the joke that Billy was at the midnight release of Fire, so...
I was the water boy.
He was going to put out the fire.
You know what's fucking crazy, man? Smallz, you know what's crazy? Right now, at least one person that's going to watch this is going midnight release. What are you talking about? What's a midnight?
God damn it, man! Why
what
you
the fuck?
That to me?
What is that? What is that old man? What is that old man talking about?
Doing midnight releases. Working at GameStop and Best Buy, I miss doing midnight releases so much.
Yep. So you were saying that when you were in high school, you were playing Gears.
I was, yeah. So Gears of War, obviously everyone knows the first one was a launch title for the 360, and it immediately caught my attention for what it was. I love shooting games. I love, the whole action adventure and everything about it. It was just my style of game. But I played through them religiously, just as I did with Halo. And I remember so fondly, I believe it was the winter vacation of junior year of high school. My buddy, I think he might be in chat here. Stefan, if you're here, hi, welcome in. One of my best friends from high school, Steph, and I, we stayed in his basement for the entire week of Christmas break and worked our way through the entire trilogy of the first 3 Gears on insane difficulty and just lived off of Hot Pockets and Mountain Dew. And by the time we were done, we had both collectively gained 35 pounds and finally beat the damn thing. And it's just such a fond, vivid memory.
Shout out to Hot Pockets and Mountain Dew.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor.
No, please don't. I don't need any more.
Sponsor the Brand Show. Hot Pockets and Mountain Dew. Come on.
Such vivid memories of the train yard with the glow in the dark locusts and
greatest shootout in the history of video games.
The underground trolley car, rail car section will forever haunt me for the rest of my days.
Well, as you can imagine, those titles and certain scenes, they certainly haunt me still. It's it's an amazing thing to be involved with something that people just don't forget. It resonated so strongly that they bring it up to me in 2022. I mean, we're talking about on the outside 2011, and people still 2011, 2012, and people still talk to me about the Maria scene in 2. They talk to me about, spoiler, the death scene in 3. It was an interesting time for all of us because, again, still the Xbox 360 was the new hotness, man. No disrespect to the PS3, but I mean, we had this thing fulfilling the promise of gaming that we'd had since we were playing, stupid, 16-bit games and shit, 8-bit games.
Hey,
and all
man,
that.
we still play 16-bit games and 8-bit games around here. But listen, I have to jump in with that because I'm remembering the scene with Maria in 2. And I remember watching it with my brother, and I cried my eyes out. And I remember 3, just watching that tank and the way the camera pulled out.
Yep.
And I remember
cried.
Sean just popped up in the chat, actually. Farva's here. You know Sean. We've all gone partying together.
Cool. I love it. Cheers.
Anyway, there's been a long-running joke since Gears of War 2. Back in 2011, Sean and I went back and played it. And I promised him I would mention this tonight. We always, every time we play Gears, the first words out of our mouth, we scream, we sunk Jacinto. And he always yells about how we sunk it, but we always go from there into talking about Dom's sacrifice, in Gears 3, and how it was probably one of the best, and most meaningful and most recognized sacrifices in the history of games. Like, my God, I'm going to go on a limb here, folks, and say that Gears of War is the greatest third-person shooter that ever existed. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'll
take it. I would agree with you on that.
Greatest first-person shooter of all time, BioShock. Greatest third-person shooter. Greatest console of all time, may I add. Xbox 360. Gears of War. End of story. You can't fight me. It's over. It's done. Carlos
I'll
agrees.
argue on console, but that's an off-topic conversation.
We can have that conversation later, but the fact of the matter is just Gears of War was touching.
We are the three biggest geeks on the internet right now because that little tear was something. that was like straight. That was straight. We all teetered on being the comic book guy from The Simpsons just now. Where it was like
worst episode
ever. Best game.
Best moment ever.
Best moment ever.
We'll have to have Carlos back for an argument about the greatest third-person shooter. Around here, we like to bring people back for specials and to hear what's going on and stuff like that.
We're
planning good. But just to finish up Gears of War 2, there was cameos in Gears 4 and Gears 5. I popped when I heard you in Gears 5.
Well, Gears 4, we actually worked for 2 years to get that opening scene right.
That scene was amazing.
An Easter egg for people that even know what an Asphalt Fields is. You know what I mean? Some people don't. Some people don't pay attention to the lore. They don't read you don't know what Asphalt Fields is? Okay, well,
I don't read them. I don't read. That's my problem. I have literally
it's not that you
right
don't.
there.
It's
I
that
have
you,
all
that's
the Gears
fantastic.
Dude, it's not that you don't read. It's that you can't read.
Yeah, I was at the midnight release of Fire. My eyes don't work anymore.
You read in pictures.
I love that I just said how geeky we were, and I don't think I've ever. That might be the geekiest thing I've ever heard. Is somebody saying with conviction, "Man, the thing is, I don't like to read." Okay.
No, the problem is post chemo, my brain doesn't work the same way. Friends, if you've ever had cancer,
Jesus Christ, thanks, man, thanks.
Hey,
That was a nice
ugly
move.
thing in my chest right here,
nice
and
move.
my brain doesn't
Smallz,
work.
How often does Billy do this to you? Pretty often, right?
No,
It's
my
the
brain. He
17th
knows my
time
brain
today.
doesn't work. Are you kidding
No, but
me?
does he? But how often does he pull the C card? Pretty often, right? Where you're like,
It's like the 20th time today.
Hey, listen, I might pull the C card, but you know what? At the end of the day, you know what? I'm going to pull the C card in chat right now, guys. There we go. We have a chat. We have a thing every episode.
That's not pulling a C card. That's just deploying a C card.
We donate 20% of our proceeds every month to the Colon Cancer Foundation. So.
Oh, fantastic! Good.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad.
But
I'm glad.
Back to the story. I said it. Gears. Greatest third-person shooter of all time, but there is also
and you don't like to read.
I do like to read. Just my brain doesn't work. Audio.
I got you.
Audible.
Yeah.
It works.
Okay.
But
well, Asphalt Fields. Let me finish the thing about Asphalt Fields very quickly. Because
away.
Gears of War 4, we worked 2 years. Me and Rod Ferguson was still working on the games then, and 2 Easter eggs for your viewers. Number one, Rod Ferguson was telling me that for this opening, we're going to use this dynamic from that Gears game, this thing from the other Gears game, this favorite thing that we've developed for the new Gears game, and this thing from Gears of War Judgment. And I said, I didn't play Judgment. And he said, nobody did. But what I was going to say is that, I know, but
it was not good.
Smallz, you got the gag, right? I heard you laugh. I like that Billy's like, I played it. It's like, no, I know. But I'm saying he was making a statement basically like me that we're like, not a lot of people love Judgment. That's
also
all.
For the record, I know Asphalt Fields. It's in the first book. I've read the first book.
I'm fucking done.
All right. Well, that was when we were working on that opening thing for 4 that took 2 years, and it worked so well that this is the other Easter egg. The second thing, and I'll leave Gears 4 after this, is that whole opening scene where it's basically, if you didn't play Ultimate Edition, you don't know how to play Gears of War on an Xbox One. That was the whole goal of Gears of War Ultimate Edition, really, was you're playing Gears of War. Besides fixing everything that was fucked up in Gears 1 with technology at this point, it was cool to actually learn how to play with this kind of juice, the Xbox One. Yeah. So Gears of War 4 was, okay, now we're going to tell this new story, new squad, all that sort of thing.
JD,
and
everybody.
JD, Kate,
yeah.
and the lot. So that opening was supposed to be this cool, what's happening? Is this a prequel game? Dom's back, how cool is that? It's been a while, et cetera, et cetera. So I was really stoked about what it was going to be like. Then I got the game and my part ended, and then it was like every dead person had a scene. And I said to Rod, I said, wasn't the opening going to be all Dom? And he goes, yes, but it tested so well. We did it for everybody.
That's the most Rod Ferguson thing I've ever heard.
And I was like, you know what? That is nice. There's people that do, they're beloved characters, right?
Oh,
yeah.
But
my greedy ass wanted it to be the Dom opening.
The Dom show, and it turns into fan service for everyone.
You the Dom father for a reason, Yeah, one of your one of your most prominent roles, followed by another extreme. I want to touch on it really quick. Let's talk about The Godfather. You played Michael Corleone in the games. All due respect, your voice acting was incredible. The games were awful.
Well, that is your job as a card-carrying geek is to say that out loud. My job is to say what I love about it, and what I love about it is that it's the only job that I ever campaigned for, like really campaigned for. Like I wasn't told no, but I was being offered other things in the game, namely Dominic, and I was being told,
wouldn't have been right.
What they were going to do with with Godfather 2, as opposed to what they'd not done in the first game that I wasn't in at all. And what their plan was with the Dawn's View and about doing the other working on other consoles. So the ambition was very appealing to me, but really my vibe was nobody can play Michael but me. Like I genuinely believed that then, and I still believe it now, that in the context of where I was in my life and where we were with games, I was like, I'm oddly agreeing with you, Billy, in that I could see the writing on the wall of how this could go south, of how things could get fucked. It's like if you pick any iconic, any movie that you love. Okay, I'll pick a movie out of thin air. Looper. Okay, I really like the sci-fi movie Looper with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. If someone said we're doing Looper the video game, going in, I think they're going to fuck this up. They're going to fuck this up because it's so beloved to me. It means so much to me, and there's so many things and characters
Rian
and
Johnson
dynamics.
Directed it too. It was amazing.
Yeah. So I love all. So I would go in being like, I got to play the Joseph Gordon-Levitt part if he doesn't play it, because I know that it won't. Really, what I'm trying to do is save the game. So there is a bit of a savior complex thing I had going, that I was like, at least Michael won't be fucked up. And the first review came out from IGN, I believe, that said that my Michael was scarier and more menacing than Al Pacino's ever was. And I'm like, fuck it, I'll take it. Done.
Yeah,
right. The devolution of Michael Corleone in the movies from 1 to 3 is amazing. Godfather, in my eyes, and speaking of beloved movies, as you speak about Looper, I speak about The Godfather. Given my upbringing, it's something that I saw a lot as a kid. My grandfather was very deeply connected to Whitey Bulger. He was his bookie. My grandfather owned a diner as a racket. But on the Italian side of my family, I saw the family dynamic. I saw the aspect. I saw the protecting the family. You see other things besides that whole racist cliche that every Italian person is a gangster. If you actually watch the movie,
so this is very important to me, Billy. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's important. And then you fucking get it. No, but you get it. Mm-hmm. Have you seen The Offer? Have you seen the Paramount Plus show The Offer?
It is on my watch list. I started it during chemo. I never got back to it. I need to.
You got to watch that shit tonight, my brother. That is beautiful. It is beautiful. I recommend it to anybody that'll listen. And I would know, right? I would know if it's any good. It's really amazing. Since you get it, I will, and we can leave The Godfather because we've got some other terrain that I want us to cover before I leave. But I will tell you, this was the big cool part about working on Godfather 2. I got to act on headphones and on screen like this, like we're doing Zoom, with Robert Duvall playing Tom Hagen to my Michael. So I got Robert Duvall, who I grew up with, just like you did.
Yeah.
And I identify I identify his Tom Hagen a certain way for 2 movies. And now I'm working on the second movie with him. And he's now this older, raspier voice version of himself. So his Tom Hagen is different, just like my Michael is totally different than Al Pacino's. And he, in the trailer, it's one of my favorite things is, games aside, if you watch the cutscenes between me and Robert Duvall, the one where he tells me, Michael, do you have to wipe everyone out? And I say, no, just my enemies. That's all.
Enemies, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In that I got to do that with Duvall. I mean, that if you're a Godfather fan, you understand that it was extraordinary experience.
Such an extraordinary that would be like being in the same room as Marlon Brando. It just
absolutely. Which is in the offer.
I'm gonna watch The Offer. I promise. The wife is asking it. The wife just texted me, "Hey, can we watch The Offer?" Now that Carlos just mentioned that, and I was like, "Absolutely."
You have to. You're gonna thank me tomorrow. So
I know I will. Listen, let's move on to what I consider to be one of your greatest roles. Dom is here, and nothing is ever going to touch Dom. That story.
But we covered the Dom and the father. So now
there it
we're
is.
Going the other way.
We're going to talk about your DJing too in a minute here, but let's talk about what I personally think is the greatest stealth game of all time, or series of all time. Let's call it a series because it is a beautiful series, and you are so deep ingrained in the first 3 years of this history of this game. You do so much in the original Assassin's Creed. You're the Damascus bureau leader. You're the Damascus city guard. You're a Jerusalem city guard. You're an Arcade city guard, and you are the Kingdom's guard. What was it like? I mean, I think 2 was the best of the series personally, and then Valhalla comes behind it. But Assassin's Creed was great.
Yeah, the first game, I mean, they didn't really know. I mean, it really was the Wild West back then in terms of figuring out, do people like RPG elements? Are they lying to us? Do they really give a shit? Do they like big maps? Do they hate big maps? Do they want to stay in a sandbox? They come up with hold on 1 second. I got to deal with a cat one more time.
Hold on. We got music for this. There's a cat fight.
Do we have music for it?
We're just not hearing it.
All right. So anyways, I sorted it. All right. So what I was going to say about the Wild West of games back then is that the map thing was pretty big in terms of expansive and what you could do. And I already knew in the first game that the storytelling was going to be special. And so I was there to serve the story of Altair, is to move things along. Really, the Damascus bureau leader is the one that stands out in my mind because all I do is make fun of Altair. I'm in a room. He comes into this room and it's the wrong place to be. He has no reason except to discover it's the wrong place. But to go into that room, he leaves and then he climbs a wall up to a roof, as is tradition. And I always, when I think of Assassin's Creed 1, I think of me saying, "What, are you, an idiot?" Because I just keep calling him an idiot. And if you're learning your controls and he's jumping up and down, I'm going, "You're stupid." Okay, you're an idiot. Okay, you're dumb. Oh. Okay, keep going.
I remember.
And my snark fit quite lovely into that character.
Yeah, it's during the tutorial. Yes.
Yeah, it's a tutorial. Yeah. So in the second game, having the meteor, second game in Brotherhood, playing Leonardo da Vinci, it was definitely a whole different story. That was they were hiring a
defining role.
They were hiring, absolutely. They were hiring the guy that had done the other shit. You know what I mean? Like not the guy that said you're an idiot to Altair, but the guy who had played roles his whole life and built characters and all that. Because it was they came at me and Roger with a lot of work to do. It was like, yeah, Assassin's Creed 1 worked. It's not Prince of Persia. It's this, and now we're going to start doing this thing with Desmond and the Animus, maybe for life. So we're setting
Desmond and Ezio, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, you know. And so we had all this cool storytelling to tell, and we had these characters that are historic, and in my case, historical figures that are real, interacting with these fictional accounts of history and also real accounts of history. So I mean, every art history fan that comes to me up in the last 15 years, I've had so many art history fans that tell me they love what I did with Leo, and I just had a lot of responsibility, man, and I wanted to live up to it.
Well, Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most famous inventors, painters, just
Famous
people in the history of the universe. There was also in
Typecasting.
Yes, you also were Federico's doctor in 2, but you were also in Ascendance in a short as Leonardo da Vinci. Now, how did it come from being a bit player in this game, being a Damascus bureau leader, being in the tutorial to being Leonardo da Vinci? Who saw your greatness before we did? Like who brought you and just shined that beautiful giant spotlight on you? And I mean, don't get me wrong, we knew Dom was going to be great at the end of of Gears 1, but
if we're going to go really behind the scenes, me and Roger Craig Smith were fighting it out for Ezio, and he got Ezio. If we're really gonna talk, if we're really gonna talk turkey,
that's Forge v Forge there. That's Forgeception.
But what's amazing though is that at the time I thought that the powers that be, Amanda Wyatt, the director, and a lot of people from Ubisoft, they told me, okay, I'm saying that is like how I see it, and it's fine. I'm totally cool with it. I love it. I love that I'm Leonardo da Vinci. But I was told at the time that the reason that they wanted me to play Leonardo is because it's kind of the better part. And that's what you tell an actor, that you don't want to hurt their feelings. You know what I mean? Like you only hold the door for Superman, but without the door being held, we got no Superman. And it's like, yeah, but I'd rather not be a doorstop. You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels going in. But fuck, once I had the Bible, once I had all the words that I was going to say and all the missions and the Da Vinci disappearance, and not for nothing, once I make the part mine, then they can play a little bit and they can start saying like, okay, this guy can speak Italian, then maybe we can have more of that. Maybe we can bring some more realism to the thing, and not, have everybody sound like they work at the pizza parlor in a cartoon. You know what I
mean? No, you don't sound like Super Mario at all.
Yeah,
So
hey, there's an Uncle Mario, and I actually auditioned for that too. And I saw that it said "It's a Me Mario," and I was like, "Are you fucking really gonna do this?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Oh my god.
Like, okay, all right.
So
all right.
With that, in terms of voices, Carlos, can you do us a favor and can we get an Ezio bit?
No. I would never do somebody else's gig, but I'll do Leo for sure.
That's fair.
We'll take it.
But I'll tell you, this is you just created an improvisorial situation, so I'm going to run with it. Okay, you just started improvising, man. So I'm going to run with it.
Somebody get ready to clip this.
If I just did Leo, I would say, "How exciting! I need more codex pages. I've taught a man how to fly." Okay, that's that, right? But my favorite thing with the voice was, I was at a big panel with other voice actors. It was a big voice acting panel. It was a really big room. And somebody came up with it. I love, my favorite part of anything, this even, is questions from the audience. I make everything I do a Q&A because I would rather hear from them than, all due respect, the host or by myself, because we're used to talking and being on camera and being on screen. It's nice to hear what people may be thinking that we're forgetting and so forth. Well, somebody came up and said, "Could you do Leonardo's lines as Dom?" And but on paper, it sounds like, oh my God, right? It sounds like that could be fun, and people applauded. And I went, how exciting! I'm like, that's not, who gives a shit, right? And then I went, wait a minute. Now, mind you, this is a voice acting panel, so it wasn't about certain franchises or anything, so I could do anything. I went, wait a minute. Sup, bitches? And sup, bitches, as Leonardo brought the house down. And then I couldn't stop. Then I was like, running away won't help. I'll just shoot you in your asses. It was pretty fun. So there's a soundbite for you guys.
Yeah. Well, speaking of soundbites, now that you let into that, first of all, guys, we're going to open up the room to questions for Carlos here in just about 5 minutes. So that way you guys can ask all the questions in the universe to Carlos. We encourage it. Please put them in chat. No brand bucks needed to do that tonight. Just put them in chat because Carlos wants those questions. We want to give it to him. Do you remember a million years ago when Ross Furman was a person of relevance and he came to you and asked you to do a soundbite for my old podcast?
Who was it that asked me to do a soundbite for your old podcast?
Do you remember Ross Furman from SFX 360?
Oh yes.
Okay,
yes.
I remember
and,
one day.
And what soundbite did I do?
So I had a podcast back in the day, guys, called Analog Championship Wrestling. I was working for Analog Hype. Ross was trying to steal me to come work for SFX. And one day he just calls me and he goes, "Hey, Carlos Ferro did this for you. And you did a soundbite as Leo and as Dom. And you asked people to listen to our show. And I have it somewhere in a Google Drive. I have to find it and I'll send it to you. And it's the funniest thing you've ever heard. I almost died laughing because you start out and you're like, this is.
So I did both characters talking to each other?
Yeah, I remember you doing. No, it was you started as one and then the other.
What a gracious, generous actor I am. Holy
I know,
shit.
no
what
shit.
A guy.
But what a guy now. But I remember it finishing and you were just like, shit, yeah. And that was the end of it. Now, before we open this up to questions for people, I know you've been dying to talk about this because I want to talk about this too because I sat down and watched it. I loved it. It was so fun. And I have no experience with Big Hero 6, but you're in Baymax on Disney+. Let's talk about Baymax. Tell us about Baymax. Tell us.
Well, let's go in order. Number one, we covered how geeky we are about superheroes and things like that. And your room, that I have a room that looks just like that. In fact, I have two fucking rooms that look like that.
And with that being said,
yeah, but this is
Abrams. It's a joke.
Okay.
No, it's a joke around here.
Yes.
Whenever we unbox something, Migo, I always start it by ripping it open and going, "Fuck Marty Abrams." He approved it at Toy Fair. It was funny as shit.
That's pretty good because he gave me a Willy Wonka Migo very recently.
Very
so
cool.
that's a big thing in me.
Marty's
so
actually
anyway,
a really nice
he knew
guy.
it was very awesome that he knew that.
But I love Marty. Nice guy.
So
Marty.
There you go. So I was so excited that this job came my way, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of I may be. I'm trying to make sure I don't violate any non-disclosure stuff, but I mean the show's out, so I will say this: there are not a lot of jobs in my life that were given to me or handed to me or I was requested, like we'd like to have you in this show, and Baymax is one of them. They came to me, and not for nothing. I have already been a Disney guy. I worked on Tomorrowland, the George Clooney movie,
yep.
and I worked on Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Yep.
So once you voice a Chihuahua dog, you're set for life with Disney. I joke, but you kind of are. I'm still getting paid for that thing. So anyway, I was on Disney's radar strongly, and for a few other things, I'm sure, given how they ended up using me and animating me. But I showed up to Disney Animation during pandemic, during COVID, and there were in this incredible place where they do just the animated films. So that here in I'm trying to be quick about it, guys, is there's a lot that I'm proud of about this. Number one, Walt, there I am.
Baby.
Walt Disney Animation has never produced a TV show. They've only ever done the films like Cinderella, Pinocchio, Lady and the Tramp, and more recently, and all the more recent properties as well. So Walt Disney Animation, they did Big Hero 6, which is their movie in the MCU, because it's a Marvel character. Yeah. Okay, so manga style aside and anime style aside, it's still an MCU character, and there's the whole thing about Big Hero 6 and San Francisco and this world that you enter when you see Big Hero 6. It's really sort of like when Star Trek, going back to where we started with this conversation, so it's a nice bookend here, is that Star Trek promised a lot of shit, and a lot of it was the beauty of humanity. Okay, yep. And I apologize if I'm being a little too touchy feely or on a soapbox here, but Star Trek at its best kept reminding us, you're better than that. We're better than that. We're better than this. You're better than that. We can be so much more. There's so much more out there. There's so much more to us. There's so much more inside, so much more that we can contribute to each other. We should look after each other. We should be a united federation, not a bunch of assholes that don't like each other. This is definitely in the same vein of fiction. Storytelling is San Francisco, the kids, the families, the characters. At the heart of it, there's all this family. There's all this love, and there's this thread of kindness that is so valuable. And of course, it's touching. we would be less than human if we didn't respond to seeing other humans being happy, seeing other humans have connection or affection or companionship. Is we don't just like cats and dogs because they're furry. It's because of what we can do for them and what they do for us. And all of that, when it comes to humans, I mean, we're supposed to operate on the same sort of steam, that we all care about each other, love each other just because we're human. And Baymax, he's a caregiver, for fuck's sake. Okay. Yep. He's the character that everybody wants their own Baymax to follow them around and say, are you satisfied with your care? Are you okay? You know, maybe you might want to address that and fix it. But if you can't, that's okay too. There's people in all shapes and sizes and animals, and they all deserve love and care and looking after, even if it's just a scritch to Moshi or Yachi, kitty, kitty, kitty. All that stuff is so big. There's such lofty ideas. And for me, when it was presented to me, this job, I thought, yeah, I'd like to be involved in this based on Big Hero 6 alone. I want to be in here somewhere, whatever this is. Then when I find out that I'm doing 5 of the 6 episodes and I'm doing 10 characters, I was like, I can Mel Blanc this shit. I finally have gotten to a place in my career where I'm not just pretending to be a guy with a bunch of fucking range. I can show it off a little bit. So, you know, I can have a morning zoo guy that's on the radio, and I can have a very monotone guy that does a podcast. And I can also, you know, have a guy that's kind of a young guy. It's kind of interesting and kind of looks a lot like Dom and has a gaming laptop, and there's no coincidence there. You know what I mean? So I was really, really thrilled, and I'm it is, talk about tentpoles. Right now, it's what I'm most proud of, but I think it's going to be one of those things like Dom, like Leo, like Star Trek, that I'm going to be proud of like this for the rest of my life. I mean, it's such a beautiful 10-minute episode, 6 of them. You can binge it in an hour. Yeah, that was a commercial for Baymax. So Disney Plus is $5. This is an hour out of your life, and everything that's in it, you'll feel a little elevated afterwards. It's pretty beautiful stuff.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I remember texting you last Sunday and saying, "Hey, look what we're watching," and I remember saying to you, "This is so fun and just so endearing," and you know, I can't wait to go back and watch it again. It's one of those things that it struck a chord with me, and you know, we before we open up to questions, we get a couple here in chat. You know, this is what we do at a bunch of our main brand that falls over the brand show is called A Bunch of Nerds. And our mission statement is, we are a bunch of nerds because you are a bunch of nerds. And we fully believe that. We've opened these doors, and we have a lot of things coming with this brand that are exciting and inclusive and fun. And we just want to talk about nerdy shit. Like,
of course.
We talked about it earlier in the show. Thanks to Farva, we purchased probably one of the rarest Ninja Turtle figures in the world, $700 later, not even complete. But you know, this is what we love, we live for. We were talking about Tron earlier in the show. Tron and Sark are sitting on my desk, you know, right behind you. Planet of the Apes, Star Trek. I mean, this is what we live for. But I'm gonna shut up. Smallz, take it away with the questions, my man.
All right. So one, I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed Baymax. I binged all of them the other day with my daughter because Big Hero 6 is one of her favorite movies, and I was like, I have a friend that's in this show, and she was like, put it on now.
How old is she?
She loves it, and I love it as well. I love the whole unit. It's
She's
fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
She must have loved it. I mean, I've seen kids watch the show, and it's weird how, you know, Disney. I mean, it's fucking Disney, right? And it's like, I just said fucking Disney. That's awesome. But I mean, the fact that Disney can put so much in there for adults and kids alike it's a real trick, man.
Oh yeah,
it's very
absolutely.
Impressive.
I love the whole aspect within Big Hero 6 just by itself being San Francisco, and the whole like futuristic but modern, and it's like 2 different worlds smashed together, and then there's this overarching sense of just be kind to one another.
Exactly.
Like encompassing principle over everything else going on. Just be a good person. Don't be a dick.
Exactly. And that's great. That's great for everybody, right? Everybody.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
All right. But to get into these questions, we have a couple here.
If we missed some questions from before, please ask me them too. If you guys recall that we missed, somebody was asking about Gears or Godfather or anything. Yeah.
There was one of them that's back in here as well. Any at all interest at all in like tabletop games at all? Like, we obviously know you did video games and movies and everything, but like tabletop, and he's sort of like outside of virtual digital gaming.
Well, here's the thing. I have never, ever played any game like D&D, anything of that nature.
Same,
not at all.
Honestly.
I haven't. If you told me right now, draw a board, draw something. What does playing D&D look like? I could pretty much put people around a table and like dice, kind of odd shaped dice, and like a fucking book around the fucking master, the dungeon master. And so I have a cursory knowledge of it, especially because all my friends and colleagues are on Critical Role. You know what I mean? So, I mean, when you're friends with Matthew Mercer and Marisha Ray and Laura Bailey and everybody else, people from Anjali Bimini, people that are always in there playing D&D with them, and they've done TV shows, and, Felicia Day's whole show, and now Mystic Quest and all these other programs. I get it, but I've never personally played. And I will tell you, if the question is, do I have any interest in it? Have I been a board game guy? In terms of RPGs, no. I mean, I've enjoyed board games, but like everybody does, like with their fucking family, like Win, Lose or Draw, Pictionary, and fucking Monopoly. But in terms of what people play now and that have like entire evenings of playing, I mean, I was taken recently in Raleigh, North Carolina, to a board game meetup, and everybody was in cosplay. There were tables. It was cool to see.
Oh, that's so cool.
A little quiet and sedate for my blood, and Billy can attest to that. Like I was like, this is great. When does it get loud and music and drinks?
Carlos wants to rage. Well, quick story to add into that. World of Tanks 2012. It was their 1-year anniversary. I get a text message from Carlos at 1:45. He's like, I'm fucking bored at this party. I will not mention the party just in case the person who threw that party is watching. Now, I walk in. First thing I do is I pick up the chick I'm dating. I'm like, you're coming with me and Ferro. He goes, where we're going? I'm like, oh, we're going to meet Bobby Lorchester from Zen Studios. We're going over to this party. So Farva's with me. We're both drunk. We walk into the bar. We pick you up. I see Dave Branca, who, fun side story, you know Dave Branca from Exclusively NEP. Dave was the best man at my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love
Dave and I are still very, very close friends. So
I love Dave.
If you're out here for PAX, we're doing dinner.
I've stolen stories. This Dave doesn't know this. You just finessed this. Dave Branca doesn't realize how many of his stories I've stolen and pretended they're mine. Like people do that all the time and they don't own up to it. I'm owning up to it. He has a couple of great stories from New England that are so great that I've used them to big myself up before, where I'm like, I don't pretend that I'm him, but I certainly pretend that I'm a closer friend to him than I am. You know what I mean? Like
Dave is one of those people that when you know Dave, you're in for life. So next time you're out here, I promise we'll all get together. So to finish this story, we go and pick up Carlos from the the party. That party was, I think, called something about something going wild. And that party was not Dave's fault. It was just awful at the end. But we took Carlos with us over to the World of Tanks party, and somehow we end up at the bar. It's me, Farva, Bobby Lorchester from Zen Studios, and
two of my favorite stories, by the way.
Some fucking scientist. No idea where this guy came from. Wait, hold on. Look who just texted me.
All right.
He says hello. So I walk up to Dave like I'm stealing Carlos.
Wait a minute. I couldn't read who it was. That looked like your dog texted you, dude.
No, it was like, look who texted me. It's Dave Branca.
I wouldn't put it past Maggie to text him.
So anyway, I walk up to Dave. I'm like, I love you, brother, but I'm stealing Carlos. We're going to a party that's open bar. He goes, good point. So we walk over to the party. I forget, Farver, you know where the party was. Tell me in the chat. So we walk over to this party, and Carlos reaches across the bar and taps the bartender on the shoulder and goes, give me a bottle of Don Julio. Slides it open. All of a sudden, I don't remember if it spilled on me or the scientist, but it spilled on somebody. Then we all got shit-faced.
Yeah.
A whole fucking bottle of tequila. And then Carlos gets another one just like that. And he's like, it's on World of Tanks. Greatest story of all time. Greatest story of all time.
Little bit. Well, what's cool is that was, I was deep into going to an after hours called Rise in Boston.
Oh my God, Rise!
And I was obsessed with memories. I was obsessed with Rise, and I would go there every time I was in Boston. And,
oh my God!
And I had full member privileges. So I mean, I there was one year, it was either that year or the next year, that I took my friends to Rise, and since I can tell from your expression, you saw Sunrise at Rise.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
every time
Every
time
awesome.
in college, every
time.
time.
It was awesome.
Oh man,
All
good
right,
times.
We got a couple more questions.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to let you plug whatever you need to. And then we'll
right.
go to break so you can sneak out. And then we're going to come back and talk more Gamescom.
Yes. So we got 2 more questions. One is, what were your influences in early on in your life that kind of led you to where you are today? Anything that really stands out, a person, an event, anything that led you down this path where you're at now?
That's a great question. And it's funny, I've never been asked that question quite that way. And it's a great question because it's making me think about now. If you asked me that question 10 years ago, it'd be a very different answer for whatever, however that works out. In that, yeah, man, like I've got influences like Charlie Adler. If you guys look him up, he's the voice of Cow and Chicken. And he's directed a lot of stuff. He and I worked together on Spicy City and a lot of Klasky Chupo shows. I'm from the generation when I started out with Spicy City and Spawn. In that same era, I was working on Duckman, Rugrats, All Real Monsters, all those shows, and I was meeting and I was meeting a lot of people, that were busy at that time, and they were the OGs then. And Charlie Adler always stands out in my mind as an influence because he, unlike me, that couldn't get that fucking New York accent right, apparently. Okay, I thought I was so good, right? I watched him talking to Ralph Bakshi. Okay. Ralph Bakshi is a force, okay, in animation. You guys should be nerdy enough to know who Ralph Bakshi is, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Wizards, the Lord of the Rings animated film back in the day, Fritz the Cat, Cool World with Brad Pitt and Kim Basinger. So Ralph Bakshi's directing us, and he says to Charlie very casually, okay, so you're Carlos's like sidekick muscle in this. He's the muscle, he's one of the muscle guys, but you're the sidekick guy. And he goes, and this is the conversation as I saw it. Charlie said, but Ralph, is he more Brooklyn or is he more Bronx? And I remember that I went, you know what I mean? Like I've been around a lot of good actors and people, but for this, I would have just picked the first voice that came to my mind, that, how I saw the character from how he looks. But Charlie was like a surgeon. He was like meticulous and specific. And Ralph's like, let's do them both. And first guy sounded like a really evil Bugs Bunny. And the second guy sounded like a really, evil, like if you remember the old Looney Tunes cartoons, there's the boss, big tall guy, and the little guy that's like, come on, Muggsy. And he went like this, the Brooklyn guy and the Bronx guy. And it was so specific that I was like, that's the gig. That's what I'm here to do. It's not to fuck around and hope it works out. It's to have an arsenal of dialects, voices, pitches, all that.
Ready to go.
So early on, Charlie Adler was a real big one. But coming up, I mean, just because I don't want to dismiss the thing is like, there's that guy, is early on, there were great actors that some people don't even know who they are now. Warren Beatty, huge,
Dick Tracy.
Hugely influential. Huge. I finally got to meet and spend time with him after a screening of Dick Tracy very recently. Yeah, it was awesome. And awesome. He's the real thing, and legendary and all that. So I have a lot of old Hollywood influences because of how I grew up watching The Godfather and all that. And then now I have influences in what I do for a gig now that are pretty strong. I mean, just doing esports, for example. When my colleagues in esports, Guy Blaze, he's taught a lot of people how to host, man, how to really host and build hype at an esports tournament. He's an influence. So I mean, there's a lot. Colin Crow Clark, my favorite fucking caster. These are guys that they stick with you as an artist, and I'm really grateful.
So
nice.
Phenomenal that you said Warren Beatty. Now, I'm just going to add to this really quick, and there's a question in the chat about this, so we're not going to get too much into it. You remember the old Dick Tracy toy line. Fun story I learned recently as I started collecting that line is there was a figure of the Blank, and it never made it to the Americas because once you open the package and took the Blank's mask off, it spoils the entire movie.
Yeah, wow, that's great trivia. I love that.
Amazing. A little normal one for you. Moving on, 2 more questions so you can get out of here. Plug anything you need to before you go.
Hey, listen. I'm not in a rush, but I do want to fit in with your breaks and stuff like that.
You're good.
So I'll answer a few more questions. I'm having fun.
Yes, my friend. Smallz, bring him up.
Yeah, so we have one more that I actually wanted to ask you myself, but someone beat me to the punch. Are you ever able nowadays to go and like enjoy a convention or a con or anything as just yourself and not be like, I'm Carlos Ferro, I'm here, what's up? And just go as a fan and just enjoy the show? Or is it always like you go and it's like, oh shit, it's Carlos Ferro?
Every show that I do, every show that I've done for the last 10 years, and there's a lot, I do a lot of shows. There's like badges behind me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I have the same thing for shows that I do.
Yeah. So I, it's always, an honor and a privilege to be there as a big shot. But I can tell you, this is just, it's one of my go-tos, so I know I'm not lying. Every single, con that I'm at, I mention to at least one group of fans, I say the sentence, I'm one of you. If I wasn't behind the table, I'd be in front of it like you guys are. I've said that at every single appearance I've ever done in Mexico, anywhere in this country, England, Wales, anywhere that I've been. I always say, just to make it clear to you guys why I'm so excited, is not that I'm trying to sell you pictures or sell you anything. We do okay. I'm here because I'm such a fucking geek. I'm one of you. I can throw down. In fact, I challenge you to try to throw down with me about subjects. And if they stay clear of anime, they're fucked, because I am that bitch. You know what I mean? So I can enjoy drinks with fans and non-fans alike, because we're all there going, holy shit, man, that's fucking the guy from the Warriors that was also in Xanadu. Michael Beck is here. He's standing right there. I mean, I'm one of those cats that remembers that movie and gives a shit. But by the same token, I'm like, I was backstage with Chris Hemsworth. He's more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. I mean, I still, no matter where I am as a guest, I am a glorified attendee. Really, I am, because I do geek out. I pick my battles. I've come up in a generation where I'm friends, like really good, spend time at my house, friends with a lot of actors that are there as guests as well. So like sometimes people see me taking a picture, with Sean Patrick Flannery. Well, he's been to my house and seen my toy collection, and he remembers my house being called Toy House back in the 90s. He remembers that shit, and me and Carrie Elways used to get drunk with Charlie Sheen at the Rainbow. So when me and Carrie Elways are at the show,
Rainbow
it's
Bar,
like,
baby.
It's like this,
Hell yeah.
So it's
you
cool
popped
to
me
be
with
there.
the Rainbow Bar right there. Rainbow Bar. One time I've been to LA.
That's my joint. So there is a cool factor to be had, obviously, of being a guest and having some separation from all the attention or whatever. But let's be realistic, guys. I'm a voice actor too. So these days I'm primarily recognized for the characters that I played, and people kind of knowing me from social media and esports and stuff like that, and appearances. I saw him at a con, but really it's not the same as one of the Avengers being at a show. It's not like that. It's very different. So I do have a bit of I can be a little incognito, so I can still enjoy it. But yeah, man, I'm a big fan. What can I tell you?
Nice. That's awesome.
Now that you said that, first of all, when's the next time you're in the upper Northeast?
What am I doing? I'm going to be, it's not the Northeast. I'm going to be in Minneapolis in 2 days.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Minneapolis at 2D Con, a gaming convention for the rest of this weekend. Then I'm at Dragon Con in Atlanta the following week. Then next week, and then Salt Lake City, Utah. So I'm getting further from the Northeast. And
well, you need to come back up and visit us so we can book a panel.
I want to.
Well, it gave me this crazy idea. We could do a panel at a show called Trivia Hour with Carlos Ferro.
Oh yeah.
Can you stump Carlos Ferro? That would be a runaway. We should plan this for PAX East.
Well, I would tell you, I want to come back to PAX East, man. I really do. I pandemic fucked all kinds of shows up. Wow. Hey, I just got very atmospheric.
Turned on your hue lights, huh?
Carlos is now angry.
We can do that too, buddy.
They're mood lights.
All right. Well, for this phase of the show, this is going to be our lighting.
I like it. Hold. You know. I'm going to join you. Fuck it. All right.
Yeah,
same.
We
got. I can't do this.
Right.
I'm too dark. We got one.
No, you're not.
One.
You really weren't. Am I? Am I too dark?
No, you look great. I
Okay,
just have
cool.
accent lighting that's right here that does the job for me.
Okay,
so
cool.
I got one for you because this is gonna roll into stuff that we're gonna talk about off air, and I'll get to you tomorrow with this. But we're both collectors, clearly. You're seeing all my Masters of the Universe stuff here. My Turtle stuff's over there. We announced Lloyd Kaufman for episode 6. My Toxic Crusader shit's over there. What's your go-to? Like mine is Toxic Crusaders, Ninja Turtles, WWF Hasbro.
I am an absolute cliche. I can't be cool about it. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have had this really prepared answer about what fandoms I stay away from because there's too much to collect, like Star Wars, and why I was specific, and that I've always been an OG Mego guy. So I kind of lean into like certain scale, like sideshow toys. I can go on and on and on and on, but that changed because I was the guy that would criticize pop collectors, pop Funko Pops. I would be like, guys, seriously, that's not the jam. You know what I mean? I was a real dick about it originally. And it was that I was fucking jealous. Okay. I was so jealous. There you go. So I was so jealous that this existed now. Mm-hmm. Well, I've gone over to the dark side, man. I have the coolest pop. I've got such cool pops that I haven't even been able to display them yet because they're so niche in some cases. Last week, one of my dear friends sent me an exclusive Ted Lasso pop.
Oh,
and
cool.
It was like he had sent me, something Batman that I always wanted. You know what I mean? It meant that much to me. So I've got I right off the top of my head, I'm like, I have a fucking Tombstone, not Wyatt Earp, not Johnny Ringo, but Doc Holliday. I've got my Doc Holliday pop next to my Ted Lasso pop, next to my Elvira and fucking Ricky and Lucy, next to, I go all over the place with modern properties and superheroes. So right now my go-tos are very specific pops, but I'm trying to chill because it's the crack of our ages, man. We'll go broke on that shit.
I get it. I do certain ones. A new line I just picked up, if you've ever heard of the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, they're bringing back bendies. If you remember, Just Toys used to make bendies. This is my new thing is bendies. Like wrestling bendies and like just random old niche toys like Double Dragon from Kenner.
Nice. That's from the movie, right?
These are from the animated show, and then our next
really?
episode is episode 5. We have Bobby Valla, who used to work for Jazzwares and Hasbro. He does this line called Action Force. These are cool. I'll have to show you these later, but I get the niche collecting. I collected pops for the longest time. Like you can see, some of my pops are right there. Like some of my crazy rare stuff is there. Like an original Motu He-Man's there, and then the new San Diego Laser Light Toy Tokyo one is there. Like
so I'm curious, Billy, excuse me. If I send you pictures of my collection, can you use that on the show to illustrate any of this?
Oh man, I can put a social media post together after this that we can put up.
Well, I'll send you some pictures because
Absolutely.
I have the illness. I have the same illness you have.
Okay.
I look at that room and it's like home for me. Like that doesn't look weird.
There's another 400 square feet of it. That's the crazy shit.
Yeah, well, my house is 2 rooms. The dining room and the kitchen have been overtaken. Yeah.
Happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we all have our holy grail in collecting. I mean, I have one of mine sitting on my desk in Hotspot. What is your holy grail?
I won't say holy grail because I have it, right. So it's
what is your grail then? It's not a white whale anymore.
Yeah. This is such a fucking flex, Smallz. You have to help me and go. No, it's not. Go ahead, man. Come on, it's all right.
No, you're good.
I have a screen used spinner from Blade Runner.
Whoa!
I had your back and then you lost it.
Shit! Wow!
Damn!
I wasn't even prepared for that.
Oh, I'll put some shit up, guys.
I got the vapors.
Yeah,
holy
if you look at my social media, I've only dyed my hair once in my life blonde, and it was because I cosplayed perfectly Roy Batty and my chick cosplayed Pris, and we did them. This was the night that we cosplayed it. when you start the movie Blade Runner, the original 1982 film, it says November 1st, 2019 is what it says. Mm-hmm. And that was the night that we cosplayed those characters. That's how insane I am about Blade Runner and consequently Blade Runner 2049 is it's meant a lot to me my whole life. And so I've had my attachment to that and its collectibles and collection and what to have and what Holy Grail. But I was like, if I'm going to do Roy Batty, I'm going to do him on the night that is on the screen that I've been seeing since I was a kid. And and so that goes with like, there's two things in my life like that. I cosplayed Roy on the night that Blade Runner takes place, which is just to me really fun and cool. Amazing. And to go way back before both your times.
I don't know about that, man. I got a Blade Runner story for you in a second.
Well, there's an old show called Space 1999.
I remember it.
And the opening of Space 1999, every episode shows in big block letters, September 13th, 1999. And that's when the moon separates from Earth. Okay, that's the premise of the show. Well, my birthday is September 13th. And on September 13th, 1999, I spent it with the entire cast of both seasons.
Whoa.
That's nuts.
And had my figures and toys signed.
That's amazing.
I it's hard for me to not come off like a douchebag being like, I got this, you know what I mean? But I'm very proud of that shit. Very proud of that shit.
As a toy collector, I can sit here and subtle flex too. Like, you know, like people like shit their pants because this case right behind me has a Dragon Blaster Skeletor complete original. It has a Scareglow complete original, a Flying Fist
fucking amazing.
He-Man, a Flying Fist He-Man complete original, and it has a Bone Breaker carrier meant on card.
I gotta send you pictures, man.
Please do. I'll have to send you photos of this shit. But I got a great Blade Runner story for you. So the day I was born, okay, or the day I was supposed to be born was June 25th, 1982. My mother walked out of a Blade Runner screening to have me, and didn't walk out of the hospital until June 29th, 1982. And Miss Tron, which was July 9th, 1982, because she was still in the hospital with me. I was destined to be a nerd, my friend.
Exactly. It all worked out. It was meant to be. Yeah, if there's any truth to the universe, it's right there.
Right, it is. And I mean, hey, it led me to this moment. So here we are, like defining moment in life. Give me a figure for it.
Guys, so you know what? I gotta go. Everything is wrapping up on me here. All my technology's dying on me.
Okay, well, guys, we're going to go to our last break of the night. We're going to come back here in a few minutes, just talk about some GamesCom, some news that we didn't get to so we could get Carlos in. Guys, if you want to follow Carlos Ferro on social media, where can they find you?
Real Carlos Ferro on Instagram, Real Carlos Ferro on Twitter, and just Carlos Ferro on Facebook. I like friends. I don't mind. I'm not a weirdo.
Go say hi to Carlos.
Yeah.
Annoy him with fun questions. And we're going to hopefully be able to plan a meetup around PAX if Carlos is here, where we can all get together and have dinner with Carlos. If you make a donation,
I'd come out to PAX East just for that. So let's make it happen.
All right, we'll talk about it. I'll get Dave on the phone later tonight, and we'll go from there. Guys, we're going to go to our last break. We'll be right back with more Brand Show. good show. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to our guest, Carlos Ferro. Carlos is a gentleman and a scholar. We love Carlos. And if somehow we can put together the money, snacks, we're going to try to work something out to have Carlos Ferro here for PAX or an appearance or something like that. That is something that maybe we can shop him. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we're broke. You guys know that.
Yes.
So, let's get back to the news because we didn't get to finish because we ran over.
Yeah.
A couple things I just want to get back to. I want to talk about Dead Island for a minute here. Dead Island was dead on its feet, and then Dambuster Studios came in a few years ago. We got our first look at Dead Island today on GamesCon preview night. Huge deal. Looks kind of like if, Dead Island and whatchamacallit, Scissored and Had a Baby Dying Light, and
they did
Dying Light and Dead Island, Scissored and Had a Baby, and that's pretty cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm really excited about that. That's one of those things where like I would love to see it happen. I would love to be there.
I
play
honestly forgot that Dead Island 2 is even a thing because everyone at this point has seen that trailer of the guy running down Santa Monica Boulevard and everything's blowing up behind him, and that's all we had for years.
So, as someone who's worked with Deep Silver on many occasions, reviewed many of their games, and personally, I like their shit where a lot of people don't.
I enjoyed it.
Dead Island. It's been mirrored in controversy for 10 years. It's at Duke Nukem Forever status by now. Sorry, Jim Redner. I'm really sorry. I love you.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
It's been mirrored in controversy and problem and anguish. But Dambuster Studios came in, and apparently the release date is very soon. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you see the full trailer with the release date?
No. What was the release date? February
3rd of next year.
We'll be live with it February 3rd. I was going to go live with Saints Row tonight, but obviously time didn't allow for that. But I'm very excited for that. I did want to talk about going back to Fortnite. Huge things going on for Fortnite. You were talking about it. Dragon Ball Z, and now Destiny's in the game. How did this all come about?
So I honestly don't know how Destiny got involved. I know Bungie has obviously been working with stuff with Epic here and there throughout the years, but I don't really know where this, like, I didn't know this was happening at all. I found out while I was sitting on the toilet, and all of a sudden a trailer was sent to me of like the in-game announcement of Destiny.
So you were taking a number 2, and Destiny 2 kind of just pushed your poop out for you?
Kind of, yeah. I was like, what? Oh. But it was one of those things I was like, what could they possibly do when they just did Dragon Ball Z a week prior? And then I read the caption, I was like, wait, there's no fucking way. And then all of a sudden I forget the name of the little robot that Peter Dinklage played in the first one, the little floating cube robot.
Oh God, I forget what it's called too. Honestly, I know some of our viewers are going to hate me for this, but I don't play Destiny.
I didn't play Destiny. Well, actually, I played a decent chunk of Destiny 1 when it came out, because I remember going back to the old mantra of, yes, I used to work midnight launches as well as Billy did. I remember working the Destiny midnight launch at Best Buy, and it was nuts. But I bought that. I played quite a bit of it.
Zero called it Dinklebot.
That's pretty accurate, in all honesty. I'll call it Dinklebot. Fuck
it, Dinklebot it is. We call it a Dinklebot.
We ride at Dinklebot. But I remember Destiny 2 came out, and then everyone played it for a long time, and then it just kind of was dead in the water. And then Bungie was like, you know what? Let's kind of just go not the EA route, because that sounds bad at this point. That's a bad omen for any game company to do. But the whole like expansion as a DLC, where it's more than just like a skin or a new gun or like a couple of missions. They did like the Fallen King, the Dark Hour, I think it was called. They had all these expansions like scheduled out, almost like seasons of a TV show, where it added so much to the game that it was almost like a new game entirely, mainly with the Fallen King. When that came out, it was I believe a $50 expansion.
Huge.
But it was almost an entirely new game, and they've kept it rolling. And then this rollout with Fortnite is in conjunction with the new event that's going on within Destiny.
Fortnite Battle Pass.
Yeah. You know, I've been kind of out of the loop on Fortnite. This season is so wacky and out there that I just don't know how to feel. Indiana Jones and Darth Vader, and
it's out there, but I fuck with it just because, like, as a music festival patron still to this day, the idea of a music festival island with a rave going on at all times is the funniest goddamn thing in the world, but I also love it. How Darth Vader fits into it, I have no fucking idea.
Dude Probably in a Darth Vader suit rolling on E, just fucking dancing away and shuffling with some hot chick that's got, like, literally no clothes on.
So that sounds like a Destiny lobby. So now Destiny makes sense.
Oh, my God. Okay. So let's cut back also to Gotham Knights.
Yes.
Big talking point. Talk about those villains again.
So it was Harley Quinn, Mr. Freeze, Penguin, Clayman, and Clayface. My apologies. Not Clayman. I'm thinking Clay Fighters. And there's one other that I'm forgetting, and I am a terrible person for doing so. Harley Quinn, Mr. Freeze.
Binky Bonky.
No.
Calls Clayface Clayman.
Yes. Another reason why I'm being replaced as co-host. Yes, 0 Hour.
It's also because you don't like Bury It Alive.
No, I do like Bury It Alive, but Severed Lime is the superior flavor, and I will die on this hill. It is fate on sight, my boy.
I hate you.
That's a lie, and we both know it.
I know. Literally, guys, I don't know how I haven't peed yet. I've drank 3 Liquid Deaths during the show.
So next time you pee, it's going to be all carbonated, and it's going to be a really weird feeling.
Probably. So, I'm really looking forward to Gotham Knights. I was kind of sleeping on this one.
Same. I kind of forgot about it for a while.
I've been playing through the Arkham games again on PS5.
I still have to play those.
I know. You need more time in the day, pal. Being a father, working a day job, and fucking working with me is difficult. I understand.
And doing shows. Like, this is my one free night of, like, the next month.
Well, so, moving back again, Saints Row 5 today has come out to a lot of controversy. And this is going to be our final topic of the night, guys. We're going to end a little earlier than normal. Give you guys back half an hour of your life. Saints Row rebooted. Jim Boone, Steve Jaros have moved on from Volition. Jim Boone is at Riot Games. Steve Jaros, one of the founding pieces of Saints Row, is at Steam and Valve. Steve is still a very good friend to this day. Another big piece of the community has left this world, which, fuck cancer, once again. Rest in peace, Mike Watson, a.k.a. Idle Ninja.
Yep.
So Saints Row was really, like, as someone who worked on the community launch with Deep Silver and Koch Media, as it was called at the time, Saints Row, when they got to Get Out of Hell, was in such a hole. Let me say this, and I openly say this because I can look back at it now and be like, man, I fucking hated it in space. I really did. I thought it sucked that it was in space, but this new game is coming out to a lot of controversy. You start out whole new Saints gang. You start out as a mercenary for a company called Marshall, and you're going after a Don, and it goes from there. And I don't know too much about it yet. I played the first level of it. I loved it. Carlos is actually in it too.
Yep.
But it's one of those things where I think the review bombing is not going to live up to what the game is. We're going to talk about the game again next week. Or in 2 weeks on the show. It'll be part of our news. We'll get back to it.
Yeah.
Before we go, guys, I just want to plug our social media. YouTube.com/a-bunch-of-nerds. TikTok.com/a-bunch-of-nerds. Twitter.com/a-bunch-of-nerd. Facebook.com/a-bunch-of-nerd. And last but not least, did I say Instagram?
No.
Okay, Instagram.com/abunchofnerds_. Make sure you follow us on social media. Keep up with everything that's going on with us. You might see a feedback email from Twitch in the next couple weeks. We're just trying to figure out everything as we go, just to make sure that
Wolf, thank you for the gift sub to Zero
thank you very much. We're gonna see how everything plays out and see what you guys think. But we got some exciting stuff coming. As you know, guys, 2 more episodes till our first hiatus. These hiatuses aren't going to be often, but Smallz and I need some time to book the next 6 episodes. We're very excited about this. We're really excited about Lloyd Kaufman. Can't wait for that. My brother Dan's going to be guesting from Mazda Media and from an upcoming project here at A Bunch of Nerds. But there's other stuff. I'm just gonna tell you now. We're getting ready to launch Patreon in January. I don't know how that's going to go, but we're going to give you guys the opportunity for Patreon. It's going to be different content. We're not sure how we're going to do it yet. I mean, it might not even launch in January. We're not 100% sure that's the way we want to go. But for right now, we ask you guys follow us on social media, follow us everywhere we are, watch our videos, watch the replays on YouTube, everything like that. There's going to be new content coming to YouTube. We just filmed a bunch of shit this past weekend in a very short period of time. Smallz and I almost killed each other in 24 hours. We did so much. But we're thankful for your support, even if it's a small amount of you just showing up to watch this show. Thank you for being here for the 2.5 hours we've been live. I didn't get a chance at the beginning of this show to thank our prior guest, Fabrice Sapolsky. We hope you guys enjoyed that episode. We hope you showed up to Emerald City Comic Con to support him. We love Fabrice very much. But that's our show for tonight. A little early, little shorter than usual, but that's just the way it's gonna go. You know, every show we're still trying to get our feet under this. It's going to take a while for us to totally understand what we're doing and how we're doing this. But we're really glad you're with us. And thank you guys for watching the show. My name is Billy Nichols. Call me the Brand. Call me Super Billy. And call me Quicksilver. Just don't ever call me late to lunch. And don't turn my lights off before I'm done.
And my name is Chris, a.k.a. Papa Smallz, the best dad on the internet and the greatest man bun this side of the East Coast. Because I left for milking cigarettes and I came back.
He's probably
the
only man bun in all of New Hampshire. But, guys, we will see you next September 6th, pardon me, with Bobby Valla, creator of the Valaverse. We're going to talk about disrupting the toy industry, creating a company, and his amazing toy line. And we are going to do a live unboxing of the Crimson Cavalry and our first potential giveaway. So tune in, tell your friends where you're hanging out on Tuesday nights. It's The Brand Show with Smallz and The Brand, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Peace out, everyone. Stay safe.
You don't like the lights, but it's camera time. Said take the picture, but you rolled your eyes. Now I'm mortified and still terrorized. Push me behind to get me from my better side. I wanna push you back, but that's all you want. Wanna wrap me up, I'm holding back. Tryna get me framed, throw me in cuffs. Said I attacked you, that's just a false truth. No need to argue, and yeah, I've had enough. You follow me anywhere I try to be.